by the D.C. U.S. Attorney's Office. Remember, this is an office that is still arresting nearly 4 years later and prosecuting people with this case.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Excuse me if I don't believe that. Do you?
So here's the question. So I thought, and we've been told by Christopher Wray and Merrick Garland for these many years, 3, I thought that any discussion of FBI presence on January 6th would put, quote-unquote, ongoing investigations in jeopardy. So did the Department of Justice's Inspector General just do that by issuing this report? If yes, where's the outrage from Merrick Garland and Christopher Wray? If no, where was the disclosure of this information long ago from Garland and Wray? Which is it? Which is it?
Well, and according to the report, they said none of their sources were authorized to break the law or encourage others to do anything illegal. And I'd like to know who, well, they're not going to tell us who the 3 are.
This would jeopardize ongoing investigations. That's what we were told over and over again. How does the report come out now from the Inspector General for the Department of Justice? You just heard from Fox News they're still arresting people, which is true. They're still prosecuting people, which is true. So what are these ongoing investigations that would have been compromised had this been disclosed months, years ago? Or where's the rebuke of the Department of Justice's Inspector General? You can't have it both ways. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. This was back in 2022. This is more than 2 years ago. Representative Clay Higgins in committee questioning Christopher Wray. This was the back and forth that we became accustomed to, wasn't it?
Does the FBI have confidential human sources? Did the FBI have confidential human sources embedded within the January 6th protesters on January 6th of 2021?
Well, Congressman, as I'm sure you can appreciate, I have to be very careful about what I can say about when
even now, because that's what you told us 2 years ago.
May I finish? About when we do and do not, and where we have and have not used confidential human sources. But to the extent that there's a suggestion, for example, that the FBI's confidential human sources or FBI employees in some way instigated or orchestrated January 6th, that's categorically false.
Did you have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters inside the Capitol on January the 6th prior to the doors being open?
Again, I had to be very careful.
It should be a no. Can you not tell the American people, no, we did not have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters positioned inside the Capitol?
Gentleman's time has expired.
You should not read anything into my decision not to share information.
Director Wray,
confidential human
gentleman's time has expired.
No, we can't say no because it would jeopardize ongoing investigations. 26 confidential human sources. Let's just call them informants. We don't need to use the vernacular. The IG's report 26 informants who were in D.C. on January 6th in connection with the events of January 6th. 4 entered the Capitol during the riot. An additional 13 entered the restricted area around the Capitol, which was a security perimeter established in preparation for the January 6th electoral certification. And 9 neither entered a restricted area nor entered the Capitol or otherwise engaged in illegal activity. And none have been prosecuted, none who enter the Capitol or the restricted area. 4 enter the Capitol, 13 enter the restricted area. None of those 17 of the 26 have been prosecuted to date. The response from the D.C. U.S. Attorney's Office is, well, that's consistent with what we're generally doing with nonviolent offenders on January 6th. But that's not true because, well, first of all, we just know it's not true from the caseload. And secondly, there would be no need for Trump to be running around during the campaign promising, I'm going to pardon political prisoners, the nonviolent offenders on January 6th that have been prosecuted by that same D.C. U.S. Attorney's Office.
As he should. 312-642-5600. turnkey.pro answer line. You could also text us on that same line.
The
But I don't believe these numbers. I think that it's more like, I mean, do you believe them that it's that amount of people, 23, that went in? I mean, 26, I'm sorry, excuse
26? Me. I don't know.
Because I feel like they've been lying to us the whole time or hiding things. Now, all of a sudden, Christopher Wray's out the door, resigning once Trump takes office, and the Horowitz reports released the next day. The Department of Homeland Security didn't consider the event to be high security ahead of time, so they minimized the FBI's role, according to the report. But if this, I mean, is Ray Epps the one that entered the Capitol? Like, who's the one that was in the Capitol?
Well, four enter the Capitol. 4 enter the Capitol, and 9...
13 in the restrictive area.
14 enter the Capitol, 13 in the restricted area, 9 did not. But they also, the report goes on to say, found no evidence the materials reviewed or the testimony received showing or suggesting the FBI had undercover employees in the various protest crowds or at the Capitol. So no FBI employees per se, just FBI sources, assets, informants, whatever phrase you want to use. What were they doing exactly? We don't have that level of detail. This certainly prompts more questions along those lines. But there needs to be some accounting for the timing of this, as you suggested, and as I suggested, and the excuse-making that's been given this entire time as to why we couldn't get any information about the FBI's activity. So, I mean, should this be taken at face value? No. It should be, I mean, I think the Inspector General for DOJ, Horowitz, has proven himself somewhat credible over his tenure. But do I think this is the entirety of the story? I don't. There has not been an accounting for Garland or Wray on the mutually exclusive questions I just posed rhetorically. And this information, as I said, should generate more inquiries, more questions that demand more substantive answers. And maybe that'll happen starting about January 20th. Joe in Naperville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, anybody who says the DOJ is on the up and up, think about this. The manifesto from the guy that killed the United Healthcare CEO was out within hours. How come we still don't know anything about the manifesto of that lesbian or whatever she was that shot up the school?
That's not true. That's not true. It's trans, number one. You're talking about the Nashville school shooter. And we did get portions of the manifesto, and a little bit different because, and it's also a little bit different because there was litigation surrounding its release that was initiated by the parents of the victim or family members of the victims to suppress the manifesto. So it's a little bit, the dynamics are a little bit different. But I'm not suggesting the underlying point about the politicization of the FBI and the Department of Justice is not valid. That's what you're insinuating. I agree. I'm just saying let's distinguish the cases. Thanks for the call, Joe. Ed on the north side.
Yeah, I just want to make a point about committing a crime. It doesn't make a difference if you're a police officer or an undercover agent. You are just as guilty of that crime as anybody else who commits it. And let me tell you where I found this out. I was watching a picture called My Undercover Years with the Ku Klux Klan. And this guy was an undercover agent going to burn an African-American church. And the FBI told him, you are going to be just as guilty as anybody else who does it, even though you're acting as an undercover agent. So don't do it.
Well, yes, generally speaking, that's true. And this is more of the interesting questions that can be asked in follow-up to this Inspector General report. Like, okay, so these 26 people were there, somewhat of their own volition, or everybody was directed? Who was running them? Whose informants were they? What were they told? What did they do when they were in the restricted area or the Capitol for those 13 or for those 17, 13 in the restricted area and 4 in the Capitol. For the 17 that did essentially commit, at minimum, the offense of trespassing, criminal trespassing, what exactly did they do? I mean, all of those details are relevant. Maybe it'll take until Kash Patel is the FBI director to get that sort of, and Pam Bondi as the Attorney General to get that kind of disclosure. So we'll look forward to those days on this issue, as well as so many more, because Christopher Wray's tenure at the FBI, like Merrick Garland's tenure at Justice, although Wray's cuts back into the Trump first term, has been rather catastrophic. He may be slightly less self-righteous and smug than Jim Comey, slightly, but he did not turn out to be particularly more competent, did he? He didn't turn out, despite his vaunted 5-plank reform platform that he unveiled when he took over, didn't seem that there's much culture shift from Comey to Wray within the FBI. Does there? Does it seem like that to you? I know that there were some Republicans, quote, Chris Wray, it's Trump appointee. Chris Wray's good lawyer, very good lawyer, Republican. He'll be much better. He's not a man of the left like Jim Comey. Well, he wasn't much better. He wasn't much better at all. Bill in LaSalle County.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. I think future Attorney General Pam Bondi ought to give complete immunity to the 26 people involved in exchange for their testimony as to who gave them their working orders and specific parts of their working orders.
Thanks for the call, Bill. Well, right, yeah. I mean, to the extent immunity from what exactly, or immunity that they may not be already operating under. We don't know. Those are more interesting aspects of this. I mean, there's just so many things thinking about it when Christopher Wray announced his resignation. The Hunter Biden laptop. Why didn't you? You knew. The FBI knew for years. Mm-hmm. You didn't confirm it. You let those 51 intelligence community people lie to the American public before the 2020 election. You said nothing.
They should all be fired.
The targeting of Catholics, the Epstein flight logs and client lists. I mean, it goes the illegal searches, the Patriot Act Section 702 abuses in the hundreds of thousands. It goes on and on with Wray. It's a much shorter list to talk about what he did right. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.
The Answer.
Wow. Are you buying or are you selling? As this is being written, silver is up more than 50% in just the past 8 months. And gold is the highest it's ever been. Whether you are just getting into the metals, want to roll your IRA into silver or gold, or want to take some profits off the table, Fox Valley Coins is ready, willing, and able to help. Even though Fox Valley Coins is a national dealer, they're family-owned and in your own backyard. Fox Valley Coins in Naperville almost always has the product you want in stock and pretty much always has the best pricing when you buy or sell. Buying or selling is easy. Bring your items in. We'll establish the price and pay you cash or check on the spot. Don't wait until the end of the year to move your assets around. Did you know that Fox Valley Coins has sold over 3,000 1-ounce silver Donald Trump coins? We have several designs, but they're going fast. Fox Valley Coins on Route 59 in Naperville. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
All right, you've heard the turnkey name for years here on AM 560. Maybe you've thought that you don't need help because you've made it this far with your network. Have you grown your business or acquired another business? Do you have more than one network that you've hobbled together? Maybe your sales team has grown, or your client base, or your network is old and outdated, holding your business back from its full potential. You know, all of these reasons can leave your business open for security breaches, stop production, compromise sales, and cost you thousands of dollars. So don't let it be an hourly IT manager that comes in when he's available. Turnkey IT understands the importance of having a network that you can count on. For the price of a monthly car payment, Turnkey will fully protect your network with the most secure, up-to-date cyber protection. Unlimited backup, unlimited 24/7 help desk support. So protect your small business. Visit turnkey.pro today, the champions of small business. That's turnkey.pro.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at endurancewarranty.com.
If you're driving a car or truck with an expired warranty and suddenly lost your transmission or needed a full engine repair, would a $4,000 repair bill leave you stranded? I'm Danica Patrick. Don't get caught off guard with a vehicle breakdown. Choose the company I trust, Endurance. No matter the mileage, if your vehicle is less than 20 years old, Endurance offers auto protection plans for any budget. Protection on the drivetrain, electrical, transmission, AC, and more. Plus 24/7 roadside assistance and rental car reimbursement on any plan. Endurance handles everything, from making the claim to paying the certified mechanic of your choice. Act now and get 1 full year of elite benefits, a $2,000 value, free.
Call for your fast free quote today. Call 800-298-9534. That's 800-298-9534. 800-298-9534.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. They're a bank with roots right here in Chicago, and their decisions are made locally too. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Mick O'Rourke, President and CEO of Signature Bank. We'd like to wish you happy holidays from our Signature Bank family to your family.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality this holiday season. Visit signaturebank.bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. You have a true partnership with a team that is invested in your success. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Kevin Bastuga, co-founder of Signature Bank. There's no better place to be for the holidays than Chicago. Signature Bank is wishing you a safe, healthy, and happy holiday season.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality this holiday season. Visit signaturebank.bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about an opportunity for you to promote your business and to make a difference this Christmas season.
We're talking about our Food for the Poor business benefactor program. We've partnered with Food for the Poor to provide life-saving food and water for thousands of children and their families in Latin America and the Caribbean during this season of economic decline, political corruption, and instability, and high food costs. We talk about the immigration crisis on the show all the time, and we know that when conditions deteriorate in Latin America, it drives people to try to cross our southern border. For many families, the cost of food has simply become prohibitive, leading to sickness and starvation. Families simply go without food for days at a time because they can't afford to eat.
Food for the Poor works with local partners at feeding sites to make sure these children and their families get the food they need to survive. And your business can be part of the solution. Become a Food for the Poor business benefactor by making a $2,500 tax-deductible donation to Food for the Poor. That donation will help feed more than 50 children for an entire year. And AM 560 will give you 40 one-minute commercials to air right here on AM 560 The Answer between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Friday at no additional cost to you.
That's simply the best advertising deal in all of Chicago. You'll be joining a long list of generous businesses that are reaching AM 560's audience of affluent, like-minded decision makers. Lock in your 2025 marketing now at this incredible price.
To take advantage of this limited opportunity to become an AM 560 business benefactor, just call Anjanette Natowski at 847-472-8951. Again, that's 847-472-8951. One more time, 847-472-8951, or go to 560theanswer.com and click on the Give Life banner. And thanks in advance for your generosity.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan, we got a lot of text messages pouring in. Dan and Amy, how many Antifa members dressed up like MAGA supporters and were in the crowd and in the Capitol? How many were arrested?
We can't tell you. It would jeopardize an ongoing investigation.
Thank you, Dan. Yeah, that's a total of, gosh, I feel like 1,488 people were arrested that day. Or not that day, but since that day for this. So hopefully we'll see what Trump does and when. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:06, from the people who brought you that looting is wrong, except when it isn't. Now comes murder is wrong, but, well, maybe it kind of is understandable. That's at 6:06.
And Grandma really did get run over by a reindeer. We'll explain. Today, it is going to be not as cold as yesterday. You're going to have a high of 35 degrees with thick cloud coverage. It is now 6 a.m. WIND Chicago.
Celebrations across Syria. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. After Friday prayers, all following the weekend overthrow of the government by Syrian opposition rebels sending dictator Bashar al-Assad fleeing to Russia. Secretary of State Antony Blinken calls it a big moment for Syria.
To move from out from under the shackles of Bashar al-Assad to a different and better future for the Syrian people, one that the Syrian people decide for themselves.
Blinken is in Turkey for talks the day after an American was among the many political prisoners freed.
Stacey Gardner, the mom of Travis Timmerman, says she could hardly believe it when she got a call from her daughter telling her Travis was found.
I was crying. I said, they found my baby. I'm so glad.
New authorities in Syria say Timmerman was jailed 7 months ago in former President Bashar al-Assad's prison system after crossing from Lebanon into Syria on a Christian pilgrimage.
Fox's Jill Nato. President Biden will this morning have a virtual call with leaders of G7 countries after the U.S. gave Ukraine another $500 million in military aid overnight. Russia launched another barrage, hundreds of missiles and drones targeting Ukraine's energy infrastructure. Now to the drone mystery over New Jersey. Some have also been spotted in other states.
We have no evidence at this time that the reported drone sightings pose a national security or a public safety threat, or have a foreign nexus.
National Security Communications Advisor John Kirby. Some New Jersey lawmakers question that assessment, saying they aren't being given answers. 18 years after the Duke lacrosse scandal, the woman who accused 3 players of raping her, Crystal Mangum, now admits she made it all up.
Saying this, quote, I testified falsely against them by saying that they raped me when they didn't, and that was wrong. And I betrayed the trust of a lot of other people who believed in me.
Fox's Chanley Painter also reports Mangum was in prison for murdering her boyfriend in 2011.
Also apologized to the 3 Duke players who were all found innocent of the crimes.
America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 12 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer Newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Questions and conspiracies are swirling in the days following the arrest of Luigi Mangione as the main suspect in the killing of United Health CEO Brian Thompson. NYPD Chief of Detectives Joseph Kenney says they still don't know where he got the weapon.
The gun itself, it is a ghost gun. It is a receiver that comes from a gun manufacturer from parts, and then the gun was built up from a 3D printer.
He was arrested Monday and remains in custody as he awaits a new trial. New information seems to come to light daily, and now his mother has said that they've cut ties. They've been estranged in the months leading up to the shooting. She even reported him missing in San Francisco back in November, and anonymous sources say San Francisco police identified him as the suspect 4 days before he was arrested. His attorney filed a petition yesterday contesting his detention, arguing Pennsylvania has not proven he was in New York the day of the murder or provided probable cause that he was responsible for the crime. Prosecutors are linking Little Dirk to a second murder. Court documents claim the Chicago rapper played a role in the deadly 2022 shooting of Stephen Mack outside of a community center on the far south side. Little Dirk, whose real name is Dirk Devontae Banks, is already charged in a murder-for-hire scheme in Los Angeles. He hasn't been charged in the Chicago killing. Banks is currently awaiting trial on charges accusing him of hiring 5 associates to kill rival rapper Quando Rondo in L.A. in 2022. News is a service of Tremlight Chicago. Don't let hanging holiday lights get you in a Scrooge mood. 'Tis the season to save time, money, and energy with permanent programmable holiday lighting for your home. Get your free quote today at trimlight-chicago.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
On Monday, January 20th, Donald Trump will be sworn in as the 47th President of the United States. AM 560, The Answer is throwing a party. Join us for our inauguration celebration on January 20th at Saddle Up Q in Aurora. Enjoy a brunch buffet with AM 560 listeners as we watch the inauguration of President Trump. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/Trump47. That's 560theanswer.com/Trump47.
Life takes a toll on our bodies. No way around it. Whether it's sitting hours on end at your computer or working a physical job, over time, your body pays the price. There is, however, an effective way to turn back the clock on pain. Relief Factor. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor helps support your body's response to inflammation. The difference, instead of masking pain, Relief Factor helps eliminate it for good, and it's 100% drug-free. If the pains that come with living a full life are affecting you, do as so many others have. Turn back the clock on pain with Relief Factor. Their 3-week quick start is just $19.95, less than $1 a day. When you feel good, it's amazing how much more you get out of life. So visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Try it for only $19.95. While we can't stop aging, not yet, we can stop pain. Turn back the clock with Relief Factor.
Would you go to court without a lawyer when the other guy is lawyered up? Or are you going to go it alone and learn law and procedure as you go? When you have an insurance claim for your home or business, it's the same thing.
This is Dan Lights from Crosscom. We inspect your property, file your claim, negotiate the damages, and maximize your settlement with your insurance company.
Insurance companies will send out their inspectors that work for them, get paid by them, and represent them. Not you.
If we complete the repairs approved by your insurance company, our service is free. Crosscom Public Adjusters has turned denied claims into approved claims. We've also increased insurance claims anywhere from 23 to 1,000%, and we could do the same for you. We are licensed by the Department of Insurance and work in Illinois, Northwest Indiana, and Southern Wisconsin. Crosscom Public Adjusters, 630-871-5500. Online at crosscominc.com. That's crosscominc.com. Crosscom. Building trust for over 20 years.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer. From the AM 560 Traffic Center.
Icy road conditions reported in Lyons on 1st Street. This is between 47th and the Stevenson. Road work in Bensonville on York Road between Supreme Drive and Devon. It's reducing the roadway down to 1 lane. A crash in Bensonville at York and Green Street. Edens, it's okay inbound. 16 minutes from Lake Cook to Montrose. Starting to build on the Kennedy at 30 from O'Hare into downtown. The Stevenson. The inbound side, it's starting to build from Ashland to the Dan Ryan. 34 minutes from 355 to DeSaba Lakeshore Drive. Traffic is a service of Balance of Nature fruits and veggies in a capsule. Save 35% off your first preferred order with promo code CHICAGO. Order online at balanceofnature.com and use coupon code CHICAGO to save 35% as a preferred customer. Hurry, offer ends soon. Reporting this morning from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Joanne Jeanette.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Not as cold today. Sun followed by clouds. The high 29. Cloudy night tonight, low 25. Clouds and breezy tomorrow. Some afternoon rain, high 40. A bit of rain early on Sunday morning. Otherwise, a cloudy day. The high Sunday, 45. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Are we all Taylor Lorenz now? We're unable to condemn murder as the means to resolve a policy disagreement. We're unable to unequivocally condemn murder as the means to address policy disagreements. Really? It's not just the Senate explainers, as the Wall Street Journal editorial board referred to them. It's not just the Senate explainers rationalizing the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. You know, like Crocodile.
What happens when you turn this into the billionaires run it all is they get the opportunity to squeeze every last penny. Yeah. And look, we'll say it over and over. Violence is never the answer. This guy gets a trial who's allegedly killed the CEO of United Health. But you can only push people so far. Oh. And then they start to take matters into their own hands. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Senate explainers, Comrade Bernie.
Obviously, it is an atrocity. Murder is murder, and it is totally unacceptable. But I think the outpouring that we have seen indicates that there's a lot of frustration and anger in a healthcare industry which rejects claims that people desperately need. And I think people understand that our current healthcare system is broken. We need to do what every other major country on earth does and guarantee healthcare to all people as a human right.
AOC, she's not a Senate explainer. She's a House explainer of sorts. AOC, violence begets violence. Brian Thompson started it.
And I think that this collective American experience, which is so twisted to have in the wealthiest nation in the world, all of that pain that people have experienced is being concentrated on this event. And it's really important that we take a step back. This is not to comment, and this is not to say that an act of violence is justified. But I think for anyone who is confused or shocked or appalled, they need to understand that people interpret and feel and experience denied claims as an act of violence against them. People go homeless.
Do the butts have it? It was AOC. She took it next level. It was actually self-defense. Brian Thompson committed the acts of violence first when United Healthcare denied any and all claims. This was in response to that act of violence. So I assume that the killer, the accused killer, will offer a self-defense defense at trial.
Yeah, he's the victim here, and Brian Thompson's the bad guy. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could also text us on that same line. And even in Seattle, I don't know if you saw this, Dan, the traffic sign was hacked into on one of their main thoroughfares. One less CEO, many more to go. So they're celebrating this. I don't get it.
Well, that's, you know, who hacked into the highway sign. They're still looking into that, but people who are putting their names on the dotted line in furtherance of this position, like those three numbskulls you just heard from.
Yeah.
Although there are other people that are struggling with a straight line response to this as well. Billionaire Peter Thiel, you know, Trump supporter-ish.
Yeah.
He was on Piers Morgan's program, was asked about this, since Piers Morgan has been platforming many of these people who are offering the murder is bad. Okay, but Peter Thiel had this to say.
And to those who think this shooter is a hero because he did it because he said this healthcare executive was presiding over a healthcare system which kills thousands of Americans by denying them cover, what would you say to them?
It's I don't know what to say. I still think you should try to make an argument, and I think this is you should, you know, there may be things wrong with our healthcare system, but you have to make an argument, and you have to try to find a way to convince people and change it by that. And this is not going to work.
Peter,
and, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, there are all sorts of things one could say about it, but I don't think, and I think, you know, I think the motives feel, I don't want to go into all the particulars here, but I don't think there's anything heroic about him.
Dear Lord, what was that?
Okay. Thanks, Peter.
I think 312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. If this guy too wasn't good looking, I don't want to go off track here, but I mean, the way that people are throwing themselves at him, like move over Menendez brothers, we want Luigi, paying tens of thousands of dollars for his defense. And meanwhile, who grew up with privilege? He was the privileged one. Brian Thompson grew up in Stanhope, Iowa, a town of 320 people. He worked soybean fields when he was a kid. Played football, was a hometown hero at Jewel High School, it's in nearby Jewel, Iowa. Went to Iowa, graduated with honors. I mean, that is the kid who, there's a rags to riches story. You know, talk about privilege, stop it. And stop throwing, women, stop looking stupid and throwing yourselves at him and just talking about his 14-pack abs. Doesn't help the conversation about health care reform.
I just wanted to say I find it nauseating that the architects of everything that's wrong with our healthcare system are the ones standing up there going, murder is wrong. But they made it virtually impossible for our insurance providers to actually stay afloat with government regulation. And they're standing up there talking about, you know, how there's a bigger problem they have to fix. They destroyed it in the first place.
Exactly right. Thanks, Chris. We'll talk more about that at the bottom of the hour with C.S. Tucker. We'll talk about healthcare policy and the impact of Obamacare, you know, almost 15 years in now. Jordan in Antioch.
Yeah, good morning. The last caller was kind of stole a little bit of my thunder. Yeah, how about that? The government that incentivizes pill pushers as opposed to health, and because they have deals with the big pharma. This whole thing, really, Miss Warren, push people too far? You know a little something about that, do you? About January 6th and telling our kids, telling us that it's none of our business what we do, what the teachers and the administrators do with our kids in our schools. Shocks if you want to keep your job. So are you saying? I mean, I'm not condoning any of this. I think this is despicable. I think these people are filth. But is that what you're saying, Miss Warren? You're saying that it's okay if you put, because I got news for you. There's more people that you pushed way too far, that have quietly been taking it because that's their Christian values. They do the right thing. And like Dan, you said so many times, right? We play by the rules. But now you're going to say it's okay if we push this too far? Because, lady, you better watch what you're asking for. You better watch what you're fermenting. And another thing, I really hope the bright side of all of this, that out of all of this, we get a guy in there like Kennedy, and we start looking into the corruption in our healthcare industry, and we start deplatforming and not deplatforming, but bringing a little bit of Sandman attention, like him and CNN, to the Taylor Lorenzes of the world in these media outlets for the defamation, calling all these people murderers and putting targets on their heads. So this is really filthy. This is really disgusting. But Miss Warren, you better be careful what you're trying to push.
Thanks for the call, Jordan. These in addition to these people being the architect of the backdoor government takeover of healthcare and now decrying the impacts on ordinary Americans, denials of claims and so forth. I mean, just a fundamental law of economics, scarcity. With respect to a good, there was always more demand than supply. This is what markets are for. The other aspect of this, though, so these are the same people who during the 2020 riots, summer of 2020 riots, looting is bad, but it's really not. It's not looting. It's a symbolic taking.
Yeah, but
it's righteous. It's righteous anger. So they're always making excuses for their criminal friends in furtherance of their and justify the means philosophy on life and power. But there's something too I mentioned earlier in the week. I hope all of these weak-kneed C-suiters in the Fortune 1000 are paying very close attention, because you're going to be next to be Louis Philippe if you're not careful, right? So in the summer of 2020, all those people who said looting is bad, but platformed thuggery and the shakedowns of corporate America to fund Marxist organizations like Black Lives Matter, which corporate America dutifully did. Now fast forward to present, and they're making excuses and offering rationalizations for the cold-blooded killing of a healthcare CEO. It is very reminiscent of Louis Philippe II during the French Revolution. He was a big fan of the Jacobins, supported the revolution, even changed his name to Louis Égalité, Louis Equality. Down with the struggle. And the Duke of Orleans wound up on the wrong side of a guillotine at the hands of the very people he supported, because he didn't really appreciate or take the time to consider who they actually are, what they actually are doing. And he, to the extent that he or these CEOs do, they say, well, just, we'll pay you off to leave us alone. Just, come for us last. Well, that's an approach. That's an approach. But you might want to consider not just your politics, sort of generally speaking, but with this specific group of new Marxists and those to whom they are beholden. I'm talking about the Senate explainers, the AOCs, the leftist podcasters and media types. Brianna Joy Gray, she's one of those people. She was on Piers Morgan. Same conversation you've been having all week. He's finding a lot of people that are willing to make all sorts of offerings in defense of the execution of that United Healthcare CEO. Brianna Joy Gray is no exception.
Brian Thompson's actual crimes of having a direct connection to mass death and suffering for tens of thousands of Americans on a yearly basis.
Well, hang on, you said
I
crimes.
think it's going under-examined.
Okay, you said crimes. What were
Denying,
what was the crime?
Unfortunately, the United States, our legal system, is designed by people in power who enrich themselves, who don't make denying people's health care that results in mass death.
Yeah, but you called it a crime, though. You called it a crime, but it wasn't a crime. He wasn't a convicted criminal.
I would define it colloquially as a crime, and the fact that Luigi allegedly took matters into his own hands is because no political system or legal system in the United States of America has been willing to step up.
Actually, we don't even know that, do we?
The mass murder that's been executed on the part of the American healthcare system.
I would say
right. Brian Thompson is the mass murderer. Brian Thompson, again, committed the first act of violence by presiding over an organization that denied health care claims. So people had no choice but to take matters into their own hands. That's essentially the argument that you're hearing from the left.
Yeah, I got a text message. Dan and Amy, I have United Healthcare and was denied certain diagnostic treatment for breast cancer. I understand the anger, fear, emotions, but it doesn't warrant a death sentence. The system needs to be fixed.
Well, be careful even threatening one if you're thinking about imitating, even rhetorically, the individual charged with murdering Brian Thompson. Lakeland, Florida resident Brianna Boston found that out the hard way.
With her head in her hands, Brianna Boston learned she would be held in jail on $100,000 bond. The Polk County judge adding the bond was appropriate given the, quote, status of our country.
It's not like she's a child. She's 42 years old, so we're not dealing with a child here. She should certainly know better.
Lakeland Police Chief Sam Taylor says his department was contacted by the FBI Tuesday. Authorities say in a recorded phone call about a denied insurance claim, Boston told a Blue Cross Blue Shield employee, quote, delay, deny, depose. You people are next, end quote. The language matches the words police say were written on the shell casings found at the United Healthcare CEO's murder scene in New York City.
We will take this very seriously, and we will put you in jail if you do something like this. It is not a joke.
According to Boston's affidavit, the mother of three told police she did not own firearms and was not a danger to anyone. But she added, healthcare companies played games and deserved karma because they are evil. Similar to the accused shooter in Manhattan, Boston is getting support online from people who say that she was just sharing her opinion and should be protected by the First Amendment, but police do not see it that way. She's facing a second-degree felony of written threat to kill or injure, conduct a mass shooting, or an act of terrorism, a serious charge that she could end up in prison for 15 years.
Oof. That's our politics of temper tantrum. Who deserves what, who's got what privilege. I don't like something, so I throw a temper tantrum, and I'm completely unrestrained, completely emotional, sentimental, really, is the proper term. And I don't consider the fact that I have 3 kids at home. Frank,
She may
Board
be
of
dumb
Trade.
enough. Well, oh, sorry. Go on. Go
Years
Brian.
ago, I used to quote Group Health. After Obamacare, the number of firms that sold or were in the marketplace that people could go to shrank dramatically. So if you want to lay the blame at somebody's feet, it was the Obama administration that blew up the industry and left us with the likes of UHC.
That's right. Consolidation was the point because you wanted to turn healthcare companies into public utilities. We couldn't get it through the front door, so we did it through the back door. And by the way, that was with the complicity of those big health insurance companies because you were eliminating competition. They saw how they would benefit as well. So there's no this is not defending health insurance companies, which I generally find noxious because of their amoral rent-seeking conduct. And that's not limited to the health insurance industry either. But as we've said all week from the outset of this, there is no interest from people that are throwing temper tantrums or people that are posturing to cater to leftist mobs like Warren and Sanders and AOC. There is no interest in accounting for what healthcare in America has become, how it got there. There's very little interest in understanding the healthcare system, healthcare policy, because you don't have to understand. You can just have an emotional reaction. You just cheerlead murderers, and and it becomes like the Coliseum. You don't have to think. You just pick a side and you cheer, or you throw in, even worse. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
In the heart of Bedford Falls, one man faced incredible challenges in his business journey. George Bailey, a humble banker, knew that success often comes hand in hand with adversity. But George wasn't alone in his struggle. He discovered the power of resilience, innovation, friends, and community. Like George, your business may face obstacles, financial setbacks, fierce competition, IT nightmares, or unforeseen crises. But remember, it's not about the challenges you face. It's about how you overcome them. At Turnkey, we understand the George Bailey spirit. We're here to provide you with the solutions, guidance, and support you need to conquer your business and IT challenges. Whether you're a small-town bank, distributor, manufacturer, or a cutting-edge startup, we believe that every business has the potential to thrive. Together, we'll build a bridge to your success, just like George Bailey did in Bedford Falls. Join us at Turnkey. Let's write your own It's a Wonderful Business Life. Because like George, your dreams are worth it. Start a conversation today by visiting turnkey.pro. That's turnkey.pro.
This holiday season, don't forget your Balance of Nature supplements. A proud supporter of this station for 10 years. Turkey, pumpkin pie, ice cream, not going to cut it. Your body needs fruits and vegetables to stay healthy, happy, and energized. And eating an apple or having a banana once a day, that's not going to cut it either. That's why I've been supplementing with Balance of Nature for nearly a decade. It's so easy to open the individual capsules and dust them over a salad or mix them into juice drinks or warm water, and it makes you feel great. And there's thousands of AM 560 listeners who love their Balance of Nature as well. So give the gift of Balance of Nature. It's a great stocking stuffer. 6 capsules a day provides your body, heart, and mind with over 10 servings of 31 different whole fruits and vegetables. You'll love it, trust me. So order your fruits and veggie supplements today. 800-246-8751. 800-246-8751. Use coupon code Chicago for 50% off. 800-246-8751 or online at balanceofnature.com. Coupon code Chicago.
This year, American farmers will harvest 2.8 billion bushels of wheat and 15.1 billion bushels of corn. And to this day, American road workers have built 4.2 million miles of roads and counting. We're proud that John Deere machines rolling off the line here in the USA play a part in supporting Americans who work the land and build a better tomorrow. Nothing runs like a Deere. Learn more at johndeere.com/manufacturing.
Rick Borick, host of Unleash Your Wealth, talks about the importance of tax planning in retirement.
A qualified financial planner can take you through all the steps to show you every single legal way you can use to reduce and minimize your state income taxes across the board so that, again, you keep more of your money and your family keeps more of your money.
Unleash your wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and our new time at 2 p.m. here on AM 560, The Answer.
Are you looking for a trustworthy garage to keep your Dodge Ram 45 or 5500 Cummins engine in tip-top shape? Look no further than Remke's Garage in Marengo. At Remke's Garage, their experienced team treats every car like it's their own. Plus, they believe in transparency, no surprises, just honest service and fair pricing. Check out the incredible reviews that satisfied customers have left on Google as they speak for themselves. With state-of-the-art equipment and a commitment to quality, they're proud to be your local choice for automotive care. And here's the best part, they offer free pickup and drop-off for your convenience. Both individually owned and fleet vehicle programs available to meet your needs. So why wait? Swing by Remke's Garage today and let them get you back on the road with confidence. Visit Remke'sGarage.com. Remke's Garage, repairing America.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Well, we'll do what a few other media outlets will do, which is to actually have the policy discussion. You're spoiling for a policy discussion, a healthcare policy. You really want to get into it? Okay. Yeah. Well, let's get into it. We will with C.S. Tucker at 6:36.
But now into the newsroom we go. Nikki Whaley in for Mike Scott. Good morning, Nikki.
Good morning. It's 12 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. The White House says the alleged drones spotted over New Jersey are not a threat if they exist. National Security spokesman John Kirby said that they've not been able to confirm the sightings. But he did say that the FBI is working with the Department of Homeland Security to further investigate, and added that using technology they have so far, it appears that the drones are actually manned aircraft that are being operated lawfully. Kirby urged Congress to address counter-drone measures. Loved ones and colleagues are saying goodbye to the Oak Park police officer who was killed in the line of duty last month, Detective Alan Reddins. He was laid to rest yesterday during a funeral service in Chicago. He was shot and killed November 29th after confronting a man who had left a bank nearby with a gun. Jarrell Thomas has been charged with his killing. News is a service of Team Hochberg. They've helped thousands of AM 560 listeners with the best rates and service. Let Team Hochberg help you by visiting 56david.com or call 855-563-2843. That's 56david.com, lower.com, equal housing lender. NMLS 1124061. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Would you like to have your mortgage or rent paid for all of 2025? That sounds like a Christmas miracle, doesn't it? Well, that's exactly what AM 560 The Answer wants to do for you. Go to 560theanswer.com/miracle to enter our Christmas Mortgage Miracle Contest presented by Team Hochberg. Enter once per day, every day, between now and December 20th, and you could have your rent or mortgage paid for all of next year. Go to 560theanswer.com/miracle.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world, one life at a time.
A lot of times people don't understand what a supplement is. A supplement is in addition to your regular foods. It's really just an incredible formula, and I've been doing nutrients for 43 years. It has a tremendous effect on how I feel, my well-being. I love the way it gives me all my supplements for fruits and vegetables, which I take a lot of anyway. But I find that this gives me that supplement that I was missing before.
Merry Christmas! This season, be part of the cheer and save big with our exclusive Christmas deal. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first preferred set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Don't miss out. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive Christmas offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about our 2024 Food for the Poor campaign.
If you've listened to the station and to our show for any length of time, then you already know about Food for the Poor. They're a nonprofit, faith-based organization that provides food, water, medicine, clothing, and life-saving supplies directly to local partners in Latin America and the Caribbean.
We all know how bad the situation is right now in Latin America and the Caribbean.
For many families, the cost of food has simply become prohibitive, leading to sickness and starvation.
The only thing standing between these families and starvation is Food for the Poor. But in order to get this food to those who need it most, Food for the Poor needs your help. Your one-time gift of just $50 can provide life-saving food for a child for an entire year and provide their community with access to water.
To give a gift of any amount, just call 844-862-4673. That's 844-862-4673.
Or you can visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor or just click on the Give Life banner.
Power up the holiday and give a gift from the top of their wish list. Visit your local Steel dealer or shop online at steelusa.com.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer from the AM 560 Traffic Center.
I-80 westbound in Will County, already stop and go from I-55 to Shepley. Building on the Tri-State 294 North from the Reagan to the Ike. On the Kennedy in, you're hitting the brakes from Fullerton to Armitage. From O'Hare into downtown, 34 minutes. The Stevenson inbound, it's a little slow from Cicero to Pulaski. Into the city from the Veterans Tollway, a 36-minute trip. This report is sponsored by work.illinois.gov. Jobs that work toward a greener world have top-tier benefits and offer real work-life balance. From a state job? Really? Really? The Illinois EPA is hiring. Find really great careers at work.illinois.gov. That's work.illinois.gov. Reporting this morning from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Joanne Jeanette.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Sun followed by some clouds. Won't be as cold today. A high today at 29. Cloudy tonight, low 25. Clouds and breezy. Afternoon rain tomorrow, the high 40. Rain early Sunday morning, then a cloudy afternoon, the high at 45. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. In 2022, employers and private insurers paid hospitals 254% of what Medicare would have paid for the same services, paying reimbursements that are below cost for providers. So who wants to take on Medicare and Medicaid, but especially Medicare, which is sacrosanct? You don't think Medicare denies claims? Of course it does. Medicare doesn't ration. The government doesn't ration. Of course it does. So now that we know that whoever is quote unquote in charge rations because of that iron law of economics with respect to scarcity, now we have the conversation about what kind of system should we create such that the rationing is the most transparent and fair and provides the most amount of good to the most amount of people. What we have now, as we have driven everything to be government-centric in healthcare over the last 60 years. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by C. Stephen Tucker. C.S. Tucker is the principal broker and founder of healthinsurancementors.com. C.S., thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Dan and Amy.
Your reaction, generally speaking, before we get into some particulars, to all of this scorn that has been heaped on big health insurance providers in the last week, and the conflation of denial of claims with violence.
Yeah, it is interesting that it comes from those who designed this system that are responsible for the elimination of more than 178 health insurance companies since 2010, the elimination of 22 health insurance companies from the state of Illinois, the massive consolidation of more than 1,000 mergers amongst our 5,000 hospitals in this country, the elimination of autonomy of 3 out of 4 doctors who no longer have the ability to own their own practice but must go work for a hospital system in order to get a fraction of the pay they used to earn. It is these people that implemented the ACA, the quote-unquote Affordable Care Act, which we call colloquially as Obamacare. Not one Republican voted for that, and yet it is that law. It is also the IRA, Inflation Reduction Act, passed again by Democrat majorities, which of course cut payments to Medicare Advantage, which is directly resulting in some of the worst Medicare Advantage plans in U.S. history, with star ratings dropping, with out-of-pocket costs increasing. All of these things were implemented by one party, and not one Republican voted for any of it. And yet it is the left who is cheering on the murder of a father who rose from nothing to be a CEO of a major corporation. And they're calling that okay because the company denies claims. Well, who's responsible for the denial of those claims? It is the party that implemented not only the ACA, but also the IRA and all these other government-centric programs that do nothing but squash competition. And every time you inhibit healthy competition, the end result is higher premiums and denial of claims for all Americans.
And worse quality of care.
Yes, of course. You know, it just kills me. I mean, we are now in a situation in the state of Illinois. We were lucky for a long time to have the last man standing, that being Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois, who offered a national PPO, meaning that if your health were to decline and you needed to see an oncologist and you wanted to go to MD Anderson in Texas, you could get on a plane without approval, without referrals, walk in the door, and Blue Cross would pay the bill just as if you were in the state of Illinois. That ends on January 1st. So we no longer have a national PPO.
Yeah, why is it ending January 1st?
It's ending because the costs for everything are going up as these massive mergers occur, as doctors lose their autonomy, as cuts are made to all of these programs. This is why it's happening. Every year it gets worse with Obamacare. It never gets better. Rates never go down. New carriers never enter. We keep losing insurance companies. Rates keep going up. And the only way it's even remotely affordable to anyone is that we keep the printing press running and we throw it at insurance companies, and as Democrats and other politicians call themselves heroes for doing so. That's the only way it's even remotely affordable to anybody. My wife and I have the Blue Cross Bronze PPO 701 because it makes no sense to buy anything above that, because all plans, I don't care if it's silver, I don't care if it's a gold, which costs 4 times as much as the bronze plan because deductible is $750. It doesn't matter. Every single plan will subject you to $9,200 in out-of-pocket expense for myself and for my wife. So this is what we're dealing with. Just 10 years ago, I could insure a family of 5 on an HSA qualified plan, which incentivizes them to save their own money in a tax-free account, which they can then withdraw from to pay for a plethora of expenses under IRS Section 502 and write those expenses off at 100%. Those were the good old days. That family would pay $800 a month for the family of 5. They would share an aggregate deductible of $5,000 with 100% coverage afterward, with no printing press needed to print and artificially reduce the cost of that actual health plan. Those days are gone. In fact, 2025, you can't even buy one HSA qualified plan on the health insurance exchanges in Illinois anymore, and in most states anymore. So who's responsible for all that? I can tell you this, it ain't one Republican.
The Holman Jenkins, writing about this in the Wall Street Journal, writes this: understand the system we have today. It takes the 165 million most economically competent Americans, those in prime working years, and their families, and gives them a giant regressive tax incentive to overconsume and to be insensitive to trade-offs between cost and benefit. It's on the opposite of what you were just describing was the paradigm 15 years ago, pre-Obamacare.
Yeah, that's very well stated. I mean, the whole system now is set up to simply hide the real cost of health insurance with these massive federal subsidies. People making, couples making $240,000 a year now are getting massive federal health insurance subsidies to artificially reduce the cost of health insurance. And so nobody's really seeing the actual cost. And there is absolutely no one on either side of the political aisle that's doing anything to reduce the cost of health care. They're simply printing money to reduce the cost of premiums. And that is not a solution. And unfortunately, I don't see anything coming down the pipeline from the Republican Party as an alternative solution. I don't see any studies out, no white papers, no nothing. right? Our last chance was in 2017, and we all know we got very close. And of course, John McCain, with his 2 a.m. thumbs down vote, killed the American Health Care Act, which would have been a wonderful alternative to the ACA. But now you cannot go back to what we had. We have wiped out all state high-risk health insurance pools. Those, if you remember, Dan, and you're one of the few people that remember this, I was insuring people who had terminal cancer long before anyone ever heard of Barack Obama. And that is because of HIPAA law. HIPAA law mandated that every state must manage and partially fund, along with health insurers' profits, a risk pool for those who were denied coverage for pre-existing conditions in the individual marketplace. And over 40 states were following that federal statute, including Illinois. And so I was able to put people on a Blue Cross policy through our Illinois Comprehensive Health Insurance Plan, known as ICHIP, for years before anybody heard of Barack Obama. And I'm talking the individual marketplace, not group. Individual marketplace guarantee issue Blue Cross coverage. When we implemented the ACA, we wiped out all of those risk pools. So now we have a national risk pool, right? The state risk pools are gone. So we can't go back to what we had unless we refund all those state risk pools. It's not going to happen. So then all that's happening is we're looking at a deadline. It's coming up, January 1, 2026, when these massive enhanced subsidies, where a couple making $240,000 can get a massive subsidy, those subsidies are ending on January 1, 2026. There are 23 million people enjoying those subsidies. What's going to happen now that Republicans take control next year? I can tell you already what's going to happen. They're going to pass a continued resolution to continue funding those, because I can't name one federal subsidy that has ever been repealed.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, and just on that point, because this is so much of how Obamacare was sold to the American public. So we know that keep your health plan and your doctor if you like them. That didn't happen. We know obviously it hasn't become more affordable. We were just detailing that in painful terms.
Right.
People with pre-existing conditions would be protected. Are people with pre-existing conditions more protected now or pre-Obamacare?
Well, they are more protected now due to the ACA. There are some good things about that law, and the ACA basically ensured that no matter what state you are in, you have coverage for pre-existing conditions. However, we didn't need the ACA to do that. There were 10 states that were simply not following existing federal law. They were not funding the risk pools. They were not requiring insurers in those states like Arkansas and Texas and Florida to take a percentage of their profits and fund that risk pool. So those risk pool funds ran dry. And so a very clever politician, Barack Obama, pulled horror stories from those states to sell a massive takeover of the entire American healthcare system. And he did it, again, without one Republican vote.
Have there been any positive effects Obamacare has had on the U.S. healthcare system?
Other than protections for pre-existing conditions, which were not needed by a massive federal takeover of the entire healthcare system. We had a federal law which required that. But other than that, there really has not been, because half the states in America now no longer offer PPO plans for those in the individual marketplace. You can only buy restrictive HMOs. So that includes all the states in the Midwest other than Michigan and Illinois. So if you're in Wisconsin, good luck. And please don't move there if you're under 65. If you're over 65, Medicare is wonderful. You can go anywhere you want practically across the country. But until then, you have a choice of the most restrictive HMOs in the nation in Wisconsin, as is the case with Iowa, with Indiana. Although Indiana residents, if you are listening, there are PPOs available, but you have to buy them off the exchange without a federal subsidy. What a shell game.
Well, so do you think, I mean, since you interact in this space, you have for so long, you know these individuals and how they think. And we talked about this during Obamacare. I remember, too, during the run-up to it and then subsequently to its passage, as I mentioned at the outset, that these insurance company C-suiters have a lot of blame for what has become of the healthcare system because of their rent-seeking. I mean, who do you think wrote Obamacare? Michelle? No, it was all the health insurance lobbyists, right?
Yes. Yes.
So do you think that now these same CEOs, the Brian Thompsons of the world, would like to get back to rational risk pooling rather than serving as, essentially this administrator for this regressive tax loophole that ensures that the insured classes, that provides for the insured classes lavish spending.
Yeah. I not only that do I believe that, but I believe the 174 health insurance companies who used to provide healthy competition, which of course, as you know, Economics 101 drives down the cost of health insurance. I'm sure they would all love to return to a healthy competition level playing field, which is what existed prior to the ACA. But they're gone now. They've all been absorbed by the big companies, United Healthcare, the Blues, Aetna, Cigna. Go on the exchanges. You might find 4 companies offering products now, maybe 5. That's it. They're all gone. So when you eliminate the little guys who offer the competitive pricing, all you're doing is doing everything you can to consolidate hospitals, doctors, insurance companies. It's all a massive merger. And when you do that, you kill competition, and it just results in massive higher prices. And that's exactly what's happened, exactly what I predicted would happen, what you predicted happened, and anybody with a working cerebral cortex knew was going to happen.
So if you're advising Trump or Speaker Johnson or Senate Majority Leader Thune, what do you how do you approach this now massive, complicated, government directed behemoth? How do you try to unwind this in a way that makes healthcare that lives up to sort of the promises of affordability and patient choice and quality?
Well, I would like them to go back and read the American Health Care Act, the one that John McCain killed. And I would like them to pull from there some of the wonderful provisions that are in there. For example, give Americans the chance, once again, to own HSA-qualified policies. So they can, once again, fund tax-free health savings accounts. You can't buy an HSA policy on the exchange in 2025. They have killed them all. The only way you can get one now is to buy it off the exchange at full price, which will cost you more than your mortgage payment. This is the end result of what we predicted would happen. There are very simple solutions, but you have to have enough majority in Congress to pass them. And it's very difficult to get that. We have a very narrow margin now in the House of Representatives, by the grace of God, and we'll see what they come up with. But there's a template already there. We were very close to passing it. The Republican Study Committee had it. They passed it through the Senate, and it was one man who killed it. I would go back to that, read that, and implement as much of it as you can, because that was still today the best health care legislation I've ever read.
C. Stephen Tucker is the principal broker and founder of healthinsurancementors.com. I think he was the first man, maybe still the only man in America to have fully read the Obamacare animating legislation. I know you were the first one to do it.
Backwards, yes.
I don't know if anybody has actually gotten through it other than you. I really don't. Anyway, yes.
If people want to reach you, how can they reach you, C. Stephen Tucker?
Oh, just visit the website, healthinsurancementors.com. Everyone needs a mentor, especially with Obamacare.
There you go. C.S. Tucker, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is a full-blown 4-alarm holiday emergency here.
On AM 560.
We're going to have the happiest Christmas since Bing Crosby tap danced with Danny Kaye.
The Answer.
This is Sean Thompson here to tell you about our 2024 Food for the Poor campaign. We've partnered with Food for the Poor once again to provide life-saving food for thousands of children and their families in Latin America and the Caribbean. We're talking about a part of the world that continues to suffer from the effects of economic destruction and decline, political corruption, instability, gangs, high prices for food. Families are forced to skip meals for days at a time because they simply can't afford to buy food. The only thing standing between these families and starvation is Food for the Poor and their partners. Food for the Poor needs your help. Right now, thanks to a generous match, for a one-time gift of $100, you can provide life-saving food for 2 children for an entire year. And it helps their community to gain access to water. Or consider a gift of giving $200, which would provide life-saving food for 4 children for the entire year. To make a gift of any amount, just call 844-862-4673 or go to 560theanswer.com. Just simply click on the Give Life banner at the top of the website.
Balance of Nature supplements. Changing the world, one life at a time.
A lot of times people don't understand what a supplement is. A supplement is in addition to your regular foods. It's really just an incredible formula, and I've been doing nutrients for 43 years. It has a tremendous effect on how I feel, my well-being. I love the way It gives me all my supplements for fruits and vegetables, which I take a lot of anyway. But I find that this gives me that supplement that I was missing before.
Merry Christmas! This season, be part of the cheer and save big with our exclusive Christmas deal. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first preferred set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Don't miss out. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive Christmas offer by using discount code Chicago.
If you're self-employed and purchase your own health insurance, I have some great news. From now until January 15th, the health insurance exchanges are open again. And even if you've never qualified for a health insurance subsidy before, you most likely will now. The American Rescue Plan expanded subsidy eligibility to millions of Americans who have never qualified before, even to those with high income levels. And this year, you can purchase a PPO policy, which includes access to Northwestern Medical Group. Employers who provide small group coverage also have new options, and so do seniors looking for Medicare supplement coverage. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Obamacare, then you need a local expert on your side. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than 10 years. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. 630-674-1551.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. They're a bank with roots right here in Chicago, and their decisions are made locally, too. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Mick O'Rourke, President and CEO of Signature Bank. We'd like to wish you happy holidays from our Signature Bank family to your family.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality this holiday season. Visit signaturebank.bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
And this is Brian Duncan, co-founder of Signature Bank. We wish you the very best this holiday season from Signature Bank, Chicago's business bank.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality this holiday season. Visit signaturebank.bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
At Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago, we honor traditions, celebrate faith, and cherish memories. Take an active role in establishing your legacy for future generations by pre-planning your final arrangements today. Alleviate your loved ones of future financial burden. Lock in today's prices and take advantage of interest-free financing and no hidden fees. Visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
Healthcare.gov has plans for health because you have plans for life. All plans cover doctor visits and emergency care to keep you and your family running strong. All plans cover hospital stays and prescriptions so you can have peace of mind. Visit healthcare.gov to explore health plans from the brands you know. 4 out of 5 customers can find a health plan for $10 or less per month with financial help. Enroll at healthcare.gov by December 15th for coverage starting January 1st. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. The Biden administration is reportedly considering preemptive pardons for political allies, including Anthony Fauci, Liz Cheney, and Mark Milley. Biden justifies the pardons on the grounds that some officials might be targeted by Donald Trump. The president's pardon power is absolute, but just because he can doesn't mean he should. It's not surprising that Joe Biden is worried about lawfare. Perhaps he's measuring Donald Trump with the crooked yardstick that should be applied to his own administration. Never before in American history has any president's Justice Department prosecuted his political opponent. Biden's did so with relish. Never before had any president cheered on the indictment of a rival based on novel legal theories. Biden did. Having already broken one of the norms that separates America from banana republics, Joe Biden now seems willing to break another. But America's had enough. Just say no, Joe.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, Dan, some good news. I know how you love the company Christmas parties. We weren't going to have one, and then we complained about it on the radio. And guess what? Now we're having a luncheon, a little Christmas party with pizza and pasta. on Thursday, December 19th. I hope you can stop in the conference room.
Yeah, that's exciting.
You're all over that.
Yeah, I'll wear my sweater.
Yeah.
All right. Coming up at 7:07, it's Battlestar Galactica over the skies of New Jersey. We'll start there with Brett Baer, 7:07.
Yes, who's invading our country, or is it just a bunch of snot-nosed kids? Today, much better than yesterday. It's 12 degrees right now. We're going up to a high of 35 degrees with thick cloud coverage. It is now 7 a.m. WIND Chicago.
A call to declare a state of emergency. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, from a sheriff in New Jersey to the governor after weeks of mysterious drone flyovers.
It will press the federal government a little bit more to come in here and investigate a little bit harder. What we've seen is kind of a tepid response.
Monmouth County Sheriff Sean Golden. This has led to concern about drone sightings in other states, too. California to Florida to Connecticut.
We're concerned about it, too, which is why we have the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI, my goodness, looking at this, and we're taking it seriously.
National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby says he's sure if those drones did pose national security threats or public safety risks, he's sure the president would issue the appropriate instructions to local law enforcement and even the military.
Fox's Madeline Rivera at the White House. Next hour, President Biden will meet virtually with other leaders of G7 countries. Ukraine is a topic after the U.S. provided another $500 million in military aid, followed by another Russian attack overnight targeting Ukraine's power grid. Secretary of State Antony Blinken's in Turkey for talks about Syria after opposition rebels overthrew the government. One concern, a power vacuum helping terrorists.
Our country's worked very hard and gave a lot over many years to ensure the elimination of the territorial caliphate of ISIS, to ensure that that threat doesn't rear its head again.
Some wildfire evacuees are back home in Malibu, California. That 4,000-acre-plus blaze now a third contained. Now an update on a big scandal 18 years ago at Duke University when a stripper accused 3 lacrosse players of raping her. Now Crystal Mangum admits it was a lie. She made it all up, apologizing
to the 3 Duke players who later sued the university after their charges were dropped or dismissed in 2007. They each received a $20 million settlement from the school. And the prosecutor on the case, Mike Nifon, was later disbarred for lying in court and withholding DNA evidence, which ultimately absolved the young men.
Fox's Chandler Painter. Mangum was never charged with perjury, but she's now in prison for murdering a boyfriend in 2011. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 13 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer Newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. A report years in the making say that there were 26 FBI informants on the ground in Washington, D.C. during the supposed January 6th Capitol riots. The Justice Department Inspector General report says, however, only 3 of the confidential human sources were tasked by the Bureau to report signs of domestic terrorism. The remaining 23 went on their own. Governor Pritzker is collaborating with IBM to build a new National Quantum Algorithm Center in Chicago.
With a projected $20 billion in economic impact, the quantum industry in Illinois could dramatically transform our economy.
The new center will aim to advance the exploration of quantum-centric supercomputing across industries. It will initially operate out of the Discovery Partners Institute and the University of Chicago, and the IBM Quantum System 2 will be located at Hyde Park Labs. After the state's quantum campus is built, the center will move to the Illinois Quantum and Microelectronics Park. A $700,000 Illinois lottery ticket was sold on the northwest side. Someone purchased the lucky day winner at a Jewel Osco located on West Irving Park Boulevard. The tickets matched all 5 numbers, which are 11, 13, 21, 33, and 35. News is a service of Team Hochberg. They've helped thousands of AM 560 listeners with the best rates and service. Let Team Hochberg help you by visiting 56david.com or call 855-563-2843. That's 56david.com, lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061.
On Monday, January 20th, Donald Trump will be sworn in as the 47th President of the United States. AM 560, The Answer, is throwing a party. Join us for our inauguration celebration on January 20th at Saddle Up Q in Aurora. Enjoy a brunch buffet with AM 560 listeners as we watch the inauguration of President Trump. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/Trump47. That's 560theanswer.com/Trump47.
Life takes a toll on our bodies, no way around it. Whether it's sitting hours on end at your computer or working a physical job, over time, your body pays the price. There is, however, an effective way to turn back the clock on pain. Relief Factor. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor helps support your body's response to inflammation. The difference, instead of masking pain, Relief Factor helps eliminate it for good. And it's 100% drug-free. If the pains that come with living a full life are affecting you, do as so many others have. Turn back the clock on pain with Relief Factor. Their 3-week quick start is just $19.95, less than $1 a day. When you feel good, it's amazing how much more you get out of life. So visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Try it for only $19.95. While we can't stop aging, not yet, we can stop pain. Turn back the clock with Relief Factor.
My name is Dr. Joe Mealy. I've been a dentist for 56 years, and I'm a certified nutritional consultant. I started taking Balance of Nature 15 years ago. I think most people think when they eat fruits and vegetables, this is their idea of fruits and vegetables. I had an apple today. I had a pear today. I had a banana. That's their fruits and vegetables. They don't understand that each one of those fruits and vegetables has different nutrients than the others. Balance of Nature has made a significant difference in my life, in my wife's life. I feel we're on this earth to help each other, and if other people can benefit from my experience, I think that would be one of the best ways I could justify still being here at 81.
Go to balanceofnature.com and get 35% off your first preferred set with free shipping as a new preferred customer by using discount code Chicago.
MyPillow is glad to announce that their Christmas extravaganza is finally here. Get this season's flannel sheets for as low as $59.98. They won't last long, so get them while you can. The famous My Slippers. They haven't been on sale for over a year. Regular price $119.98, now only $59.98. The 6-piece towel sets are back in stock with extremely limited quantities, only $29.98. With hundreds of MyPillow products, there's something for everyone on your Christmas list. From bathrobes, duvets, quilts, down comforters, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and be sure to use promo code LIBERTY to save on all MyPillow products. That's 800-489-0201, promo code LIBERTY. For example, flannel sheets for as low as $59.98 or the 6-piece towel sets for just $29.98. But that's not all. They're extending their 60-day money-back guarantee until March 1st, 2025. Plus, all orders over $75 or more ship absolutely free or use promo code LIBERTY at MyPillow.com.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer. From the AM 560 Traffic Center.
Crash in Arlington Heights at Lake Cook Road eastbound at Wilkie. Accident in Addison on Lombard Road at Woodland. The Edens outbound, it's 26 minutes from Montrose to Lake Cook. On the Kennedy inbound, a crash at North Avenue. It's blocking the right lane from O'Hare into downtown. 50 minutes outbound Kennedy, 30 to the airport. On the Ike inbound at 42 minutes from 390 to Congress Stevenson. That's at 40 minutes in from 355. And the Dan Ryan, 24 minutes 95th into downtown. Traffic is a service of Turnkey.pro. For less than the price of a monthly car payment, Turnkey will fully protect your network with up-to-date cyber protection, unlimited backup, unlimited 24/7 help desk support, and real-time threat hunting. Protect your small business today. Visit Turnkey.pro. Reporting from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Joanne Jeanette.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Not as cold today. Sun followed by clouds. The high 29. Cloudy night tonight, low 25. Clouds and breezy tomorrow. Some afternoon rain, high 40. A bit of rain early on Sunday morning. Otherwise, a cloudy day. A high Sunday, 45. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Apparently we have Cylon Base Star off the coast of New Jersey. It's a little Battlestar Galactica reference for you fellow nerds out there. These drones that are circling New Jersey, and have been sighted elsewhere too. Big drones, like 6 feet wide, right?
Right. They're not small little trinkets that you get for Christmas.
And questions about whether or not they've been dispatched from some Iranian mothership off the coast of the eastern seaboard. I mean, seriously, have I slipped into a sci-fi saga? Jennifer Griffin, Fox News reporter, tried to get the scoop from Pentagon Deputy Press Secretary Sabrina Singh. Didn't go great.
On Congressman Jeff Van Drew, he says that the drones in New Jersey should be shot down. Is there any reason not to bring down these drones to figure out what they are?
Well, that's a decision for local law enforcement. If a drone or any activity is a threat to military installations, they always have the right for self-defense, and they can engage to respond to any potential risks. But with some of the drone activity or activities that you're referring to, there was not a threat to any military installation, so they didn't feel the need to engage.
Representative Jeff Van Drew, who is a Republican from New Jersey, was just on the
and we also had another Fox News reporter, Jackie Heinrich, tried to get some information from NSC spokesman John Kirby, and it didn't really go much better.
Because the analysis thus far in an investigation that is ongoing has not revealed any national security or malicious intent or criminal activity. But, Jackie, I would remind you, we're at the beginning here, not the end. There's a lot more work to be done, and we're working closely with state and local authorities to gain more information. I would argue that we're moving pretty well here with a sense of energy to try to figure out what we can do to learn more about this. We're still in the middle of an ongoing investigation, and I'm up here explaining to you and letting you know what we know so far, what we believe so far. If information comes to light that changes that characterization, then my goodness, we'll be the first ones to let you know. But right now, there's just no indication that this is some sort of foreign malign activity or, in fact, even criminal. There has been no evidence of any of this activity in or near restricted spaces.
That's not what the senators said in the letter. They said, in fact, that they've been observed maneuvering their critical infrastructure, sensitive locations, including reservoirs and military installations, and cited a concern from law enforcement about public safety threats because a medevac helicopter was prevented from transporting a seriously injured patient for care because of the presence of these drones.
I stand by my opening statement.
It made more sense. Because I think people in New York and New Jersey see drones the size of an SUV over their house every night and think that that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair characterization. Yeah, I stand by my answer. When you get pantsed in government, you just say, I stand by the statement I was prompted to read when I came out here. I'm sticking with that story. Of course you are. Very KJP of him there, John Kirby. By the way, across the country in Northern California, a Chinese national was arrested on suspicion of flying a drone over Vandenberg Space Force Base and taking photos of the facility, according to the Department of Justice. So Sabrina Singh said, oh, well, if local law enforcement thinks it could be drones from an Iranian mothership in the skies over New Jersey, well, they can make a determination to make arrests. Well, over here in Northern California, it was federal law enforcement that decided to arrest this Chinese national when they learned or believed that there was something inappropriate going on that could compromise our national security. So how after, I know John Kirby does everything with alacrity, but how after almost 3 weeks do we still not know? This is Chinese spy balloon 2.0, it seems to me. And Brett Baer was equally incredulous on the set last night.
These things are 6 feet in diameter, we're told. They're massive. There's a lot of them, 49 sightings just over the past couple of days, or day and a half, I should say. No one knows what they are. How is that possible? I don't understand the lack of curiosity or the lack of engagement, more importantly, with these drones. Why isn't one being taken down? Why isn't one, they say it's not a threat. How do we know it's not a threat?
Well,
they come in peace. Brett Baer, host of Fox News Special Report, weekdays 5 p.m., best-selling author of To Rescue the Constitution, George Washington and the Fragile American Experiment, as well as The History Club, Duel Across Time. Brett, thanks for joining us. With the Biden administration, all things are possible, Brett.
Yeah, good morning. There's some stories that really get under your craw, and that it is a perfect example of why people don't trust government. There are some stories that just scream that, and this is one of them. Across the board, every time we are asking probing questions, they have nothing. They have to know. They have to, because otherwise we would not be dealing with these increasing numbers, not only in New Jersey and New York, but now San Diego. There's some down in the South. What is happening? They have to either know, or they can't get to the conclusion that it is not a foreign adversary and it's not a threat. They can't.
Well, what about Governor Murphy? I mean, why doesn't he step up and man up and try and take these down? He's acting like he needs the federal government to do it.
Exactly. So it is a giant, hamster wheel. Everybody says, well, no, the federal government needs to step in. And then the federal government says, no, that's up to local law enforcement if they choose to engage. Someone needs to do it. And the people in New Jersey are getting so frustrated. Some of these assemblymen that are coming on TV are really quite something, because they're hearing it from their constituents that see these things every night flying over their house. And it's disconcerting. Now, do I think it's aliens? No, but I don't know what it is, and I think it's time that we figure it out.
Do you think it's like an Orson Welles War of the Worlds, like it's a big put on, and we're going to find out, oh, that was such great, and Spielberg's behind it or something?
I don't know. I mean, if it is a major thing. I mean, there's a movie coming out or something, like Drones 2.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is all like a Hollywood thing. I don't know. I think that the government is going to look silly.
So I heard that there's reports from neighbors saying that when they're up there for 6 to 7 hours at a time. And if they try and make eye contact with them, or if they think that they're being discovered, they automatically shut off. Is there any truth to that?
I've seen videos to that extent where they get, the lights shut off. I have seen a guy who flew his own drone to try to go up to one of these things, and then it lost all its power and kind of fell down like a gnat. I've seen a lot of stuff.
Oh my God, that's
Drone Wars.
It's truly amazing.
Are we going to have the resources to fund Drone Wars with all the money we're sending to Ukraine and now Syria? Do you think? I'm a little concerned.
But I've actually talked to the incoming administration about this, and they have not been briefed on it specifically. And I've been having conversations with a lot of people. I'm going to get to the bottom of it on my show. I'm going to continue. I led with it 2 nights in a row because it just is really getting to me.
Well, I mean, it's just the whole thing like Kirby, hey, we just started this investigation at the end of November. This is unknowable. That's sort of what you were getting to with like why you don't trust government. People are seeing this. It is absolutely knowable. Go get one of them. We have the greatest military in the history of the world. Go get one of the drones and tell us what it is. It's not that hard.
When he said the red statement that he brought out at the beginning, he said, well, actually, basically, they're not seeing what they're seeing, and most of these things are manned aircraft who are abiding by FAA rules. Okay, well, that's not true. Just look online. Just look online. There's like 1 million videos. They are not manned. There's not, unless those people are very small, they are not manned.
They could be tiny people from a distant galaxy. Bear.
Okay. Real quick, are there any military installations nearby that you think they could be spying on?
There are. And listen, it is a bipartisan thing. This is Senator Booker, Senator Gillibrand. There are a lot of people that Jackie read from that letter concerned because they are over military installations. They are over reservoirs. They are over utilities. And there's a nuclear site there, a nuclear reactor there. There's a lot of stuff in that area, not to mention not far from Bedminster, which is the second home of the president-elect. There are so many things that should raise alarm bells. And I think by the end of this week, maybe today, tomorrow, there's going to be someone who's going to take their own action. Like some citizen is going to do their own thing. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I have a feeling one of these things is coming down.
Do you think it could be Greg Brady with a flashlight and a kazoo? Remember when he got?
I remember that.
That sound.
Yeah. Does that sound familiar to you at all?
Man, I tell you what, if it is,
it's in Barry Williams, man. You got to keep an eye on that guy. Okay, all right. Well, you're going to get to the bottom of it, and John Kirby's not going to stop you. All right, good to hear. So we'll be watching you for that. Get your latest handle on the more quote unquote controversial cabinet nominations that Trump has advanced. Pete Hegseth at the top of the list. It seems almost there's unanimous agreement that he has brought himself back from the brink in the past week once he got clear to push back, and Trump and Vance backed that pushback that he was offering the D.C. press corps. So Hegseth and then the other nominees that have been targets of the left, do you see anybody in real trouble as it pertains to confirmation at this point?
I think Pete had a really good week and a half. I think those meetings, from everything we've been told, have gone well. That's not to say that it's not going to be a really bumpy hearing. It's not to say that some of these senators are saying things publicly that are nice, that they still may not vote for him. So remember, you only can lose 3 senators on the Republican side. And it's still a question. I think it's still up in the air about whether they are at the number 4 or 5, and I don't think it's solved. I don't think it's a done deal. I think Pete and Tulsi Gabbard are probably the biggest targets up there. Again, I think they've had good meetings, but these hearings are going to be crucial. I think Kash Patel is not going to have a problem. I actually think for all the controversy at the beginning, I think he's going to sail through. I think Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is going to as well. And so it's going to be interesting once we start. It starts after Congress is seated January 6th. So that first couple of weeks of January will be packed with hearings that we'll probably be covering wall to wall.
And another topic, after Biden's mass pardon slash commutations yesterday, now we apparently, I would think, unless he is going to commute the sentences of those death row inmates per Ayanna Pressley, but I would think we would get an answer pretty soon into whether or not he is going to do any preemptive pardoning. Do you have any insight on that?
The Democrats I talk to don't want him to, but fear that he is going to. And I think that opens up a whole Pandora's box. If you pardon Anthony Fauci, what do you think that he did?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that opens up a lot of trouble. And could he pardon himself? I mean, it seems like crazy preemptive pardons, but I think that it's still in the mix, and obviously he has until January 20th to do it.
Well, what
and
about
his brother.
Cheney?
He's got his brother too, Jim. That's that in terms of the family.
Right, and everybody looks to what we haven't found out about all of the connections, and whether the Republicans were going to continue down those paths. I get the sense that the incoming administration is not too focused on that. It's not to say that it wouldn't happen in some circles, but I think they're focused more on what they need to get done, big things, very quickly.
And the first thing will be the border, don't you think?
Yeah, border. I
Reversing those
think his own
executive
pardon of January 6th, folks, case by case. I think the border, and I think that they're going to get these bills right out of the bat. In Congress to kind of go alongside that.
Speaking of J6, so we get this DOJ Inspector General's report where we finally get at least some information about the FBI's footprint on that day. 26 confidential human sources, 17 of whom at least criminally trespassed. And so I guess my question is, the Inspector General offered information that Christopher Wray kept telling us he couldn't be offered because it would jeopardize ongoing investigations. But there's still ongoing investigations because arrests are still being made. So either Christopher Wray was lying and he could have provided this information, Or he and Garland should be outraged that the Inspector General did, right?
Right. Yeah, it's sticky. And the specifics there, they said there were 3 confidential human sources that were there on the behest of the FBI, and then 23 of them that just happened to be there. That doesn't really make sense, but okay. And then the other part is how did they factor into all of these criminal trials against these January 6 participants? And if they did, what does that mean for those cases? I think that's part of what they're going to be looking at. Also, none of them were arrested or tried for what they did, despite the fact that it's beyond what some of the other January 6 people did.
Right. They tried, the D.C. U.S. Attorney's Office tried to cover this by saying, well, we generally have not prosecuted nonviolent offenders, but that's not true, because otherwise why would Trump have been running around the campaign trail in the run-up to the election saying, I'm going to pardon nonviolent J6 offenders?
Right, and there's a lot of them. So, I think this is, it's a fascinating story. I think that there's parts of January 6th, obviously, that there were violent offenders that they're going to have to look at closely as far as what goes forward. But how those confidential human sources factored into those cases is going to play a role.
I wanted to get your take real quick. Jeff Bezos heading to Florida, to Mar-a-Lago on next week and giving $1 million to the inaugural fund, and Meta doing the same thing. What's going on here, Brett?
It's called business.
Yeah.
Short answer. I think that's what it is. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg went to dinner. Bezos is going to dinner. There is, it's better to be in the game than not in the game. I think it's what their thought is.
Maybe Bezos can take Trump up in Blue Origin and they can figure out that drone thing.
Stop it.
All I know is that Bezos has drones. Figure out what's going on.
Exactly.
Elon Musk, they could take care of it in a weekend,
Brett Baer, host of Fox News Special Report, 5 p.m. weekdays, best-selling author of To Rescue the Constitution, George Washington and the Fragile American Experiment, as well as the History Club, Duel Across Time. Brett, thank you as always.
Rename it Drone Report this week.
Drone Wars.
Yes,
Drone Wars with Brett Baer. I like it.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Brett. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
You stink. I think you're going to have a good Christmas, all right? You smell like beef and cheese. You don't smell like Santa.
On AM 560. The Answer.
For help with thinking about retirement and how you game plan for it, we're pleased to be joined by Tim Stearns. He's the president and founder of TJ Stearns in Arlington Heights. Tim, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Dan, thanks for having me. Amy, thank you.
You talk about in your 10-step program that I'm looking at, consolidating like qualified accounts. What does that mean?
What we're running into a lot is that people have left jobs at, in their 401ks at their former companies. And a lot of people think, oh, I'm only paying whatever, let's say, Vanguard is charging on paper. But there's a lot of costs that go into that. I just had an American Airlines pilot who's retired. He figured out it was about 2.99% he was paying. So, and without any guidance or help from that provider. So what we did is we consolidated his 401ks that he had from prior companies, and now he's in charge and he knows what the true expenses are.
And the investment side, too. I mean, people look at, they start to do this budget and they realize they've got a shortfall and they say, well, I want to be conservative, but maybe I'm being too risk averse. Maybe if I made a little bit more on my investments, then I could close this budget gap. So maybe I should put some percentage of my savings into riskier assets like crypto. I mean, those sorts of conversations, how do those go?
Those go not very well with me because I try to remind these people that you are not 40 years old anymore.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And you can't double down at the blackjack table because you lost out on time. You need to be smarter. Protect and grow means we're going to protect the money by having active management, but we're also going to grow it that way too.
All right, so how can people reach you?
We're locally in Arlington Heights, 847-749-2295.
And you also have a website, TJ Stearns, STEARNS.com.
That's correct.
Tim Stearns is the president and founder of TJ Stearns in Arlington Heights. Tim, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Dan, Amy, thanks for having me.
All right, 'tis the season for giving, and we're giving recommending that you buy as a stocking stuffer Balance of Nature supplements. Why? Well, they've been a proud supporter of the station for 10 years, but also having just an apple or banana once a day isn't going to cut it. Your body needs fruits and vegetables to stay happy, healthy, and energized. And speaking of that, Justin Kosick, one of the younger people taking Balance of Nature. How's it going?
It's going great. Whenever I feel bad and I start to get sick, I double up on my dose, and it totally wipes all of that away.
Wow. Well, 6 capsules a day provides your body, heart, and mind with over 10 servings of 31 different whole fruits and vegetables, but that's just the suggested amount. I know some people who, when they get a craving to reach for some chocolate or cookies, they grab that fruit supplement and chew on that, and voila, they are good to go. You'll love it, folks, and your mind, body, and heart will thank you for it. So order your fruits and veggie supplements today. Call 800-246-8751. Use coupon code Chicago to save half off your first set and free shipping when you sign up as a new preferred customer. 800-246-8751. Call now or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use coupon code Chicago.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about our 2024 Food for the Poor campaign.
If you've listened to the station and to our show for any length of time, then you already know about Food for the Poor. They're a nonprofit, faith-based organization that provides food, water, medicine, clothing, and life-saving supplies directly to local partners in Latin America and the Caribbean.
We all know how bad the situation is right now in Latin America and the Caribbean.
For many families, the cost of food has simply become prohibitive, leading to sickness and starvation.
The only thing standing between these families and starvation is Food for the Poor. But in order to get this food to those who need it most, Food for the Poor needs your help. Your one-time gift of just $50 can provide life-saving food for a child for an entire year and provide their community with access to water.
To give a gift of any amount, just call 844-862-4673. That's 844-862-4673.
Or you can visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor or just click on the Give Life banner.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:37, we'll talk to Ken Cuccinelli, former Attorney General for the state of Virginia and the National Chairman of the Election Transparency Initiative. We talked to him many times throughout the course of the campaign about the election integrity issues in the swing states. Let's get a postmortem on how the various states did and what it tells us going forward. We'll do that at 7:37.
And are they done counting ballots in California, Dan? But now let's head into the newsroom. Nikki Whaley in for Mike Scott.
Good morning. It's 13 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Over 230,000 bottles of antidepressants are being recalled over a possible cancerous chemical. The antidepressant called duloxetine was recently classified by the FDA as a Class 2 risk, which is the agency's second most severe level because it could have temporary or medically adverse health consequences. The mansion owned by NBA icon Michael Jordan in North Suburban Highland Park is finally off the market. The property sold for $9.5 million, which is almost $20 million less than the original asking price. The home has 15 full bedrooms, regulation-sized basketball gym, and a cigar room. The buyer has yet to be identified. News is a service of Valdecast Windows. For the discerning homeowner looking for high-quality and professional-level window replacement service, contact Valdecast Windows, your award-winning Platinum Elite Pella certified contractor. Visit Valdecast.com. Let's take a look at the roads from the team.
Would you like to have your mortgage or rent paid for all of 2025? That sounds like a Christmas miracle, doesn't it? Well, that's exactly what AM 560 The Answer wants to do for you. Go to 560theanswer.com/miracle to enter our Christmas Mortgage Miracle Contest presented by Team Hochberg. Enter once per day, every day between now and December 20th, and you could have your rent or mortgage paid for all of next year. Go to 560theanswer.com/miracle.
$20 million. No, it's not the national debt. It's the buying spree at Fox Valley Coins. And it's on from now until Thanksgiving. It's really the perfect storm. Gold and silver are at historic levels. Fox Valley Coins has a huge order to fill with one of their national clients. And September through Thanksgiving is always when coin dealers stock up for Christmas sales. They are especially looking for the old collector coins like silver dollars, all 1700s through early 1900s coins. All kinds of gold from broken jewelry to gold bars to the old coins, U.S. and foreign. All kinds of silver from sterling silverware to old coins and bars to Franklin Mint items. They can pay cash or check and make house calls on larger deals prior to Thanksgiving. Fox Valley Coins, one light north of I-88 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. They'll make free, no-obligation offers. Make that 20,000,001 reasons to go to Fox Valley Coins now. They give free in-store offers on your items.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck, and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment, coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Steel holiday savings are here. Find the perfect gift at your local Steel dealer or shop the Steel Holiday Gift Guide at SteelUSA.com.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer from the AM 560 Traffic Center.
It's solid on the Edens outbound. Earlier accident, stop and go from Cicero to Oakton. Montrose out to Lake Cook, 50 minutes. The Kennedy, it is 50 minutes. In from O'Hare outbound gets out of the Kennedy. That is at 42 minutes. A crash in Skokie. This is at Toohey and Niles Center. We've got an accident in Oak Brook. This is on Butterfield at 22nd Street. Downers Grove collision at Maple and Belmont, and in Mundelein on Route 83 northbound just before 45. You've got a collision. This traffic update is quick delivered by Quick Delivery Service. When you need reliable same-day delivery to clients, Quick Delivery will customize a logistics plan to pick it up and move it safely to its destination. Trust their 40 years of experience for peace of mind. Get a quote at quickdelivery.com. Reporting from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center today, I'm Joanne Jeanette.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Sun followed by some clouds. Won't be as cold today. A high today at 29. Cloudy tonight, low 25. Clouds and breezy. Afternoon rain tomorrow, the high 40. Rain early Sunday morning, then a cloudy afternoon, the high at 45. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So what happened in the 2024 election from a ballot integrity perspective? Did the changes in the laws that were made in the swing states make a material difference, or was it just simply too big to rig, as President-elect Trump said to Kristen Welker in that sit-down he did on Meet the Press last weekend? Well, for more on this, let's talk to the guy we talked to all throughout the election campaign, throughout the campaign season, and the run-up to the election, who was writing point on these issues of ballot security and election integrity. Ken Cuccinelli is the national chairman of the Election Transparency Initiative. He's also the former Attorney General of the Commonwealth of Virginia and former Deputy Secretary of DHS, Department of Homeland Security, as well. Ken, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Always good to be with you guys.
So what was the story? Too big to rig, or a combination of too big to rig and substantive reforms on the matter of election administration that improve the quality of said administration in some states?
I think it was the latter. It was the combination. If you're part of the reason there was less controversy around this election was Donald Trump solidly won it across the board. It wasn't 4 out of 7 swing states. It was all 7. And so people, when you look at the data after 16, 20, and 24, after 2016, over 50% of Democrats didn't believe Trump had actually won the election legally and fairly. After 2024, not surprisingly, over 50% of Republicans didn't think that Joe Biden had won the race legally and fair, myself included. But after 2024, that number is below 50% for Democrats. And Scott Rasmussen, longtime pollster, actually had the wisdom to ask what are called open-ended questions, where he just asked people, why do you think that? And he found a heavy skew toward, I can't believe anybody would vote for a guy with 34 felonies. I can't believe, they had it was really just a disbelief basis for it. So it really suggests that the election transparency measure that we use, and that is that the losers are satisfied with the outcome, meaning they accept the outcome, not that they're happy about it,
right,
has been achieved more after 2024 than any time in the last 3 election cycles. So we did do things better.
Now, that's not to say it was uniform, and I know you're not saying that. No. And my questions immediately go to Wisconsin and Michigan. Even though Trump won both of those states, there's a feeling that there was that ballot dump in the wee hours of Wednesday morning, and it made the difference for the Democrat Senate candidates in those 2 states.
There are also issues in North Carolina and, of course, nationally, most famously in Pennsylvania, where Democrats literally went into court and argued that unregistered voters' votes should be counted. That is not a joke, folks. They actually argued that. Now, to their credit, their very partisan left-wing Supreme Court rejected that argument. So even a blind squirrel stumbles across a nut every once in a while. Or more accurately, I think they just overreached so far that even their allies can't give it to them. We have a lot more work to do in states like Pennsylvania. Arizona counted incredibly slowly, especially what they call, no joke, this is really the name, late early ballots, which are a huge logistical nightmare down there. And we're going to work, hopefully across the aisle, because we'll have to with Governor Hobbs, to get that either eliminated or carved back substantially so Arizona will count faster, significantly faster next time. And Pennsylvania, speaking of Pennsylvania, is one of the swing states that doesn't do pre-processing of ballots, so it took forever to count there. None of them are as pathetic as California,
right.
But for a state that has feces all over its sidewalks, I think slow vote counting isn't quite going to get them to enough embarrassment to fix it.
Well,
we're not really bothering with California.
Wait, go back to Michigan and Wisconsin, though, that I asked about, because I want your opinion on whether or not you think those Senate races were snaked from the Republicans.
I don't think they were. The ballot drops that you're talking about were ones that were relatively expected in terms of how they count. They do pre-processing there. I'm more suspicious, by the way, of Michigan than I am of Wisconsin. And because they do that pre-processing, when they do the ballot counts for those early votes that are done in particular, they're all going to come in at once. So it wasn't a surprise that there was a ballot dump. One of the big questions, because we're doing a much better job of turning out earlier votes, largely because President Trump finally endorsed it. The question was, okay, would our election day vote drop by an equal amount? And that didn't happen. We actually got more voters to the polls for Republicans in general, including in Michigan and Wisconsin especially. I would say that Michigan in the last 2 years, since the Democrats took sole control in 22, They have very intentionally and methodically gone through their election laws and made them terrible. They got rid of audits. They got rid of oversight. They got rid of citizens' ability to watch the process, and they did all that very intentionally. So they were clearly clearing the way for their allies to cheat. But Donald Trump won by enough, and there was enough transparency and oversight that they couldn't steal it.
Wow. What about
in Michigan, of course, you have, I mean, this is where personnel matters, too. So thinking about elections and midterm elections at the state level, you know, Jocelyn Benson is the Paul Masson of secretaries of state, right? She will count no votes before it's time. And Dana Nussel, the attorney general, will turn a blind eye to it. So, I mean, Michigan, where they actually have very competitive races in terms of control of the state legislature, that's an area where you want to look at the state level for midterm elections as well as the federal.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct, and that is something that we do at the Election Transparency Initiative. Is we do have a super PAC. We do engage in state races. Jocelyn Benson is arguably the worst Secretary of State in the country in terms of her aggressive undermining of law. She's a Soros-funded Secretary of State, and she fits that mold just fine. I'd say that people don't react as much to Secretaries of State, but the Soros-funded prosecutors have not been doing well around the country. Even a referenda in California rolled back some of the Soros soft on crime initiatives. So even California was undoing some of that Soros work. And of course, they got rid of Gascon in LA. So you can see evidence all around the country that his approach that he's trying to impose through a lot of money of radical left-wingers is really, when voters focus on it and live with it, they don't like it. But the election administration is so esoteric, I'm not sure so many people vote on it and respond to it with the same visceralness they do to something like an explosion of crime on their streets. It isn't reacted to the same way by voters. I wish it were, because these elections are the cornerstone of our constitutional republic. And as you note, it isn't just presidential races, it's Senate races, it's state legislative races, and so forth. So we have a lot of improvement that was made from 2020, but we have a lot more work to do. And one of my foci is to make sure that this very large and diverse right-of-center coalition that's been working to improve elections continues doing it. The left has been doing this systematically for 20 years, regardless of who's running for what. And we on the right really close the gap in a lot of areas in matching their presence in the election process, and litigation is one high-profile way you see that. And we need to continue that really forever. This is not a thing you ever lay down your arms on.
Yeah. First, two questions for you. Are they done counting votes in California?
Yeah, they are. Good grief. It took them into December to actually supposedly get to the end, which in a presidential year, when you have a December 11th hard certification date because of the Electoral College, they literally only left about a week for court challenges. It's just pathetic, absolutely pathetic.
All right. And then what is this late early ballot going on in Arizona? Can you explain that?
Yeah. Sure. So in Arizona, it is pre-2020, mail voting was quite popular. Part of what they consider mail voting is this late early voting. Gosh, I don't know why they call it that, but they do. Where you walk into the polling place with your completed mail ballot package and you just drop it off and leave. And so this is a popular way to vote in Arizona, but it's a logistical nightmare, particularly since they got rid of precinct voting. So Maricopa County is about half the population of the state or so, and you can drop your late early ballot package off anywhere in the county. And so they have to organize that. They have to make sure you obviously didn't vote on a machine, and they have to do the processing. And because so many people do this on Election Day, and everybody's basically busy on Election Day, that for a huge chunk of their votes, the counting doesn't begin for days. And the counting doesn't begin for days because they first have to pre-process all of these. They have to make sure you signed your envelope correctly and you dated it correctly and you're a legal voter, and they have to do all those things. So some of us are going to be in Arizona this year trying to utilize their embarrassment. Many of them are embarrassed at their performance to argue that they should get rid of this late early voting. If you're going to mail in vote, you mail in vote. If you walk into the polling place, friggin' vote on a machine.
Right. That's ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
The prospect for standard setting at the federal level, especially with the narrow House majority, are there things that you're going to push for the Congress to do to establish at least some semblance of standards when it comes to at least the administration of federal elections at the state level, and maybe that will be normative in impact and make some states like Arizona consider how they administer state level elections as well. But what is the push at the federal level going to be for, national voter ID, for example? What other things?
So the first push will be to give a real tools and really requirements for the states to ensure citizenship, U.S. citizenship, to be clear, for voting in federal elections. Right now, that's the law, but there's no way to enforce it. And federal court rulings, including one authored by Justice Scalia, have really made it logistically impossible or very difficult for states to confirm citizenship. And this is the SAVE Act that you may have noticed in September. Speaker Johnson advanced, and his leadership was very helpful in this space. 5 Democrats in the House voted for it in an election year. I have a funny feeling after this past election, when they run it again, my prediction is 40 Democrats are going to vote for it in the House. And with those kinds of numbers, it would seem to me you have a good chance of getting over the threshold of a filibuster in the Senate. So citizenship confirmation and real ability and requirement to do that on the part of the states, I think, is going to be the number one priority. So many problems in elections come from screwed up federal laws, Motor Voter, Help America Vote Act. They all have had impacts that hurt election transparency, election security. And so we don't so much need to pass brand new federal laws as fix the ones on the books because they haven't worked right. And so that's going to be our focus, because we don't want to introduce the idea of a federal takeover of elections, which the Democrats tried to do with their H.R. 1. We don't want to set that precedent so that when they come back into power someday, that they can just wipe out every state's election law. The variety in state election laws is actually a benefit to security for the United States. I can tell you from my DHS perspective days, Department of Homeland Security. And we don't want to interfere with that. The states have run our elections since the founding, and we want to keep it that way. But we do want to fix the federal screw-ups that have gotten in the way of good elections. And Trump has said, he's gone farther than what I just said. President Trump has said he wants, 1 day of voting, no early voting. I assume he still means for excuse absentee. But all of those, the constitutional authority exists for the federal government to impose those if they want to. But a lot of that strikes me as difficult to get to the 60 votes you need in the Senate.
Ken Cuccinelli, National Chairman of the Election Transparency Initiative, former AG of the state of Virginia, and former Deputy Secretary of DHS, as he mentioned as well. Ken, thank you as always. Appreciate it.
Hey, it's always good to be with you guys. Have a great weekend.
You too, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hallelujah! Holy
on AM 560.
Where's the Tylenol?
The Answer.
This is Sean Thompson here to tell you about our 2024 Food for the Poor campaign. We've partnered with Food for the Poor once again to provide life-saving food for thousands of children and their families in Latin America and the Caribbean. We're talking about a part of the world that continues to suffer from the effects of economic destruction and decline, political corruption, instability, gangs, high prices for food. Families are forced to skip meals for days at a time because they simply can't afford to buy food. The only thing standing between these families and starvation is Food for the Poor and their partners. Food for the Poor needs your help. Right now, thanks to a generous match, for one-time gift of $100, you can provide life-saving food for 2 children for an entire year. And it helps their community to gain access to water. Or consider a gift of giving $200, which would provide life-saving food for 4 children for the entire year. To make a gift of any amount, just call 844-862-4673 or go to 560theanswer.com. Just simply click on the Give Life banner at the top of the website.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
The weather is starting to turn to fall, and before you know it, the snow will be flying. Are your tires prepared for the rain and snow? Remke's Garage sells the most popular tire for this Chicago weather, the Toyo Celsius. Why Toyo, you ask? The Toyo Celsius tire has been uniquely engineered to help you specifically navigate Chicago's extreme weather and road conditions. Not only is the tire the most round, minimizing irregular wear, the asymmetric tread design is able to handle the crazy Chicago weather when it starts raining 1 minute, icy the next, and snowing within a few more minutes. Have peace of mind when going down the road that your tires are prepared for the conditions. So, why wait? Stop by Remke's Garage today and let their team inspect your tires and get you on the road with confidence. Visit us at remkesgarage.com. That's remkesgarage.com. REMKES, remkesgarage.com. Remke's Garage, repairing America.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, and more personal info in more places that could expose you more to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity's stolen, their U.S.-based restoration specialists will fix it guaranteed or your money back. Don't face drained accounts, fraudulent loans, or financial losses alone. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code CLAY. Visit LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
William is one of millions of Americans who uses GoodRx to save on the cost of their prescriptions.
My oldest daughter, Camilla, 2 days old, she had to have open heart surgery. All of a sudden, she's on 5 different medications. It adds up at the end of the month. Me and the pharmacist got so tight. She said, GoodRx save you a lot of money. Saving that extra $200-300 a month. We're able to do all these extra activities, so it puts less stress on our household, and it puts less stress on our pockets.
Download the free app or visit GoodRx.com and start saving today. GoodRx user compensated for their time. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to end your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other IRS actions. Make sure you're getting the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima today for a free confidential consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, let's have some fun, Dan.
At 8:08, we'll talk to Illinois' Clark Griswold. That's 8:08.
Oh, want to know how many holiday lights he has up. And then later, Open Mic Friday. It is now 8 a.m. WIND Chicago.
Kill a child? You should be killed. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what a prosecutor in Texas says in the case against 2 men in the U.S. illegally charged with murdering a 12-year-old girl. Harris County District Attorney Kim Ogg just told Fox she plans to seek the death penalty.
We want the message out there that regardless of who you are, but especially if you are illegally in this country, that you will face the same consequences as anyone else.
Franklin Pena and Johan Martinez Rangel are from Venezuela and are accused of kidnapping Jocelyn Nungary, sexually assaulting the girl, killing her, and leaving her body under a bridge back in June. The incoming Trump border czar, who will oversee mass deportations of immigrants here illegally, faces resistance from many Democrats. But not in New York City, where Tom Homan tells Fox he had a good meeting with Mayor Eric Adams.
He has promised to work with us to target violent, criminal, illegal aliens in this city and to help us find over 300,000 missing children that this administration released to unvetted sponsors.
Some officials in New Jersey want a state of emergency declared over mysterious drones flying overhead for weeks, and now people are reporting drones spotted from California to Florida to Connecticut.
The FBI and DHS say a lot of the sightings are actually of manned aircraft. Still, the gaps and lack of explanation to back up the government's assertion that there is no malicious intent is frustrating several lawmakers.
Fox's Madeline Rivera at the White House, where officials maintain there's no threat to public safety. President Biden will have a virtual call this hour with other world leaders of G7 countries the morning after the U.S. provided Ukraine another $500 million of military aid that was followed by a Russian and missile and drone and barrage attack on Ukraine.
President-elect Trump has pledged to end the war in Ukraine and has appointed Keith Kellogg as a special envoy to deal with bringing the war to a close. The G7 meeting is the first since the fall of Syrian leader Bashar al-Assad's regime, bringing uncertainty to the future of the nation.
Fox's Ryan Schmel. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken now in Iraq for talks about Syria. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 14 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer Newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. President-elect Trump says he will pardon most of those from January 6 when he takes office. Trump made the comment to Time magazine, which just named him Person of the Year for 2024. He said the pardons of those convicted would start in the first hour. President Biden will be taking part in a virtual summit of the G7 leaders today. White House National Security Advisor John Kirby told reporters Thursday that Biden and world leaders from Japan, Britain, Canada, Germany, France, and Italy will discuss topics including Russia's war in Ukraine and the conflict in the Middle East. Embattled Dalton Mayor and Thornton Township Supervisor Tiffany Henyard is taking legal action against multiple government officials. Henyard is accusing the Thornton Township Democratic Party after she lost last week's caucus for Thornton Township Supervisor.
I do not like dictatorship. I do not
like a hostile takeover.
State Senator Napoleon Harris instead received the Democratic nomination. Hinyard claims that she and her supporters weren't allowed into the caucus meeting, which impacted the vote and violated township code. She also filed a lawsuit in Dalton where she accused some of the trustees and the village administrator and clerk of conspiring to dilute her authority. News is a service of Balance of Nature fruits and veggies in a capsule. Save 50% off your first preferred order with promo code Chicago. Order online at balanceofnature.com and use coupon code Chicago to save 50% as a preferred customer. Hurry, offer ends soon. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes, but now time for the Signature Bank Business Beat.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Software company Service Titan had a very successful stock launch on the NASDAQ, valuing the company at nearly $9 billion. The stock was priced at $71. It topped $100 in its debut. Service Titan, based in Glendale, California, makes software used by technicians serving heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. Daimler Truck says Cal Freight owes it about $139 million. Cal Freight is based in Arlington, Texas. It's reorganizing in bankruptcy court. It's a truckload operator that also offers services for customers. Broadcom shares are higher. The semiconductor company's earnings topped expectations. Revenue from artificial intelligence jumped more than 200%. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola. Invested in you.
On Monday, January 20th, Donald Trump will be sworn in as the 47th President of the United States. AM 560, The Answer, is throwing a party. Join us for our inauguration celebration on January 20th at Saddle Up Q in Aurora. Enjoy a brunch buffet with AM 560 listeners as we watch the inauguration of President Trump. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/Trump47. That's 560theanswer.com/Trump47.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world, one life at a time.
Balance of Nature makes a difference in my well-being and how I feel and everything. It's true. It makes a difference. If you take Balance of Nature, you have a happy day because you just feel a little better. It's like a restaurant in New Orleans. Her famous saying was, when you come to our restaurant, you leave a little happier than when you got here. And that's what Balance of Nature does. It lets your day be a little happier than it would be without the Balance of Nature.
Merry Christmas! This season, be part of the cheer and save big with our exclusive Christmas deal. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first preferred set. Don't miss out. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive Christmas offer by using discount code Chicago.
Hi, I'm Tom, founder and CEO of FreedomSquare.com and the newly launched Freedom Chamber. FreedomChamber.net is the pro-American business network. Together with our co-founders, we have built this network to help our members and partners grow, to share in exclusive benefits, and have a strong voice in Washington, D.C. Consider joining us.
Hi, I'm Dave Bratt, the Patriot economist and co-founder of the Freedom Chamber. Come join us, and together we will save this great republic.
Hi, I'm Eric Oldhausen, a co-founder of Old Glory Bank and a founding member of the Freedom Chamber. I'd love to encourage you to sign up yourself and join other patriotic businesses in helping to make America great.
I'm Alfredo Ortiz, CEO of Job Creators Network and a co-founding member of the Freedom Chamber. The Freedom Chamber actually is a voice, and it's a united voice of small and medium-sized businesses that is so desperately needed across the country. Go to freedomchamber.net and sign up and join today.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about our 2024 Food for the Poor campaign.
If you've listened to the station and to our show for any length of time, then you already know about Food for the Poor. They're a nonprofit, faith-based organization that provides food, water, medicine, clothing, and life-saving supplies directly to local partners in Latin America and the Caribbean.
We all know how bad the situation is right now in Latin America and the Caribbean.
For many families, the cost of food has simply become prohibitive, leading to sickness and starvation.
The only thing standing between these these families and starvation is Food for the Poor. But in order to get this food to those who need it most, Food for the Poor needs your help. Your one-time gift of just $50 can provide life-saving food for a child for an entire year and provide their community with access to water.
To give a gift of any amount, just call 844-862-4673. That's 844-862-4673.
Or you can visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor or just click on the Give Life banner.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer from the AM 560 Traffic Center.
On the Tri-State 294 northbound at the off-ramp to I-90 Jane Addams, you're hitting the brakes back at Balmoral. Mundelein on Route 83 northbound. A crash at 45. Accident in Oak Brook on Butterfield at 22nd Street. The Kennedy, it is 40 minutes from O'Hare into downtown. Outbound side is 30 to the airport. The Ike, that's looking okay. Inbound, it's 40 minutes from 390. Stevenson inbound, it's stop and go between Ashland and the Dan Ryan. 40 minutes from the Veterans to DeSable Lakeshore Drive. Earlier, semi-truck fire on I-55. This is in Will County. Headed southbound on I-55 just before I-80. Reporting this morning from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Joanne Jeanette.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Not as cold today. Sun followed by clouds. The high 29. Cloudy night tonight, low 25. Clouds and breezy tomorrow. Some afternoon rain, high 40. A bit of rain early on Sunday morning. Otherwise, a cloudy day. The high Sunday, 45. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Nobody's leaving. Nobody's walking out on this fun, old-fashioned family Christmas. No, we're all in this together. This is a full-blown, four-alarm holiday emergency here. We're gonna press on, and we're gonna have the happiest Christmas since Bing Crosby tap danced with Danny f***ing Kaye. And when Santa squeezes his fat white down that chimney tonight, he's gonna find the jolliest bunch of holes this side of the nut house.
That was my favorite line from Christmas Vacation. We got somebody who was really inspired by the Griswold experience. Ted Ray is a resident of McHenry, Illinois, who for the last 4 years has decorated his house and car as an homage to Clark Griswold and at National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. He's got a write-up in the Tribune about it, and you see the house and you see the car. He's serious about it.
He's all in.
All in.
Yes.
Ted Ray joins us now. Ted, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks very much. How's it going?
Good. So, give us the origin story. Why?
It's my favorite Christmas movie, hands down. I've always loved Christmas. Christmas is my time of the year. And ever since I was a kid, I was obsessed with Christmas lights and Christmas itself. And when I got older, I realized, you know what? When I become a homeowner, I'm gonna turn my house into Clark Griswold's house. And sure enough, 4 years ago, I started it for the first time. And then 2 years ago, I got the car. And I drive that thing all over the place. And I just love bringing smiles to people.
And how does your resident Beverly D'Angelo, how was she with this when you first broached this idea?
So I love her. She's the best. She's not a huge fan of the movie as much as I am, but she definitely
Nobody
loves it
is
before
as
me.
huge a fan of the movie as you are. Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
how many lights are we? Okay, sorry. Go on.
So the movie has 25,000 C7, C9 lights. I only have 5,225. And you got to look at my house. It's about a quarter of the size of his house, so I'm out of space.
Yeah. And how old do you have kids, right?
Yeah, I've got 3 kids.
What are the ages?
My first is Audrey. She's 2.5. And then I have a set of twins that are 4 months, Russell and Addison.
Oh, so they're not embarrassed by you yet. They're too young to know how embarrassed they should be, right?
No. They're just obsessed with the lights. That's it.
I mean, when do you start putting these lights up? I'm looking at your house right now thinking, dear Lord, that looks like a lot of work.
The day after Halloween.
Okay, and how long does it take to get up?
A couple weeks.
And do you have any help? Do you make your kids help, or your wife?
Oh,
or your
no,
neighbors?
no.
Yeah,
This is all me, by myself. Yeah. Nope, all me, by myself.
And then the neighbors, how have they received? Have they become acclimated to the spectacle in the neighborhood?
Oh, yeah. They all love it. They think it's awesome.
Okay, and what about the car? So you finally got the Ford Taurus GL. How did you find it, and how much did it cost?
So, I was spending years, 5 years trying to find, the car. Of course, it's 1990. So when the test for bunkers came around in the 2000s, all those cars disappeared. I found it for $300 in Wisconsin Dells.
Oh my gosh! Did you have to put a lot of work into it?
Oh yeah, it was a typical Midwest, product. So it just rusted out completely. Rust repairing the doors and the fenders and paint, all that kind of stuff. So it was a process. It took me a year to get it all finalized.
And are you a tradesman?
I am, yeah. I'm an HVAC technician, heating, cooling.
Okay, all right. So this is sort of, your bailiwick a little bit, and the, I mean, just going back to the movie and this commitment you've made to the movie, like what is it that is so compelling to you? I mean, why this and not Bedford Falls and a commitment to It's a Wonderful Life or something like that?
So the movie in itself is just outlandish. I mean, you got a guy who's all about his family. He just wants everything to go great, and it doesn't. It just goes south. Every time it goes south. But he has determination. He always comes through.
Well, is he cutting? You're cutting out a little bit, Ted. Did we lose him?
Are you there?
Did we lose Ted?
Oh no, Ted, are you back?
Oh, he's. What? I don't know.
Maybe we're having electrical surges.
Is Randy Quaid available? What? Yeah, Ted, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so you were just saying.
Sorry.
That's all right. You're just saying about the movie.
Oh yeah, just a favorite movie. I love it. The family man. He tries to do everything he can to keep the family happy, even though everything goes wrong. But he's always got that commitment, and that's what I have, and I just love it.
Well, what about your electric bills during that time of year? How high have they gone?
So when I did it the first year, I had incandescents, and I was roughly like $700-800 a month.
Ooh. Right, what do you have now?
LEDs, about $180.
And now I understand is from the trip thing. You're going up to something in Kenosha. Like there are other people that have this same illness.
Yeah,
you guys get together. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Griswald Fest.
Okay, and tell us about Griswold Fest.
What does one do there? You talk Clark Griswold and everything that has to do with the movie. People dress up. There's a costume contest. There's a showing of the movie. Such a like-minded people that are together and having a good time.
And this is like people that come from across the fruited plains, or is this mainly local, or what is this? How big is this?
I mean, I'm not sure. This is the first year that they're doing it, so it's going to be kind of a thing to kind of see how it goes. Mm-hmm. But I assume people are coming from around the area. I mean, maybe it's in Wisconsin, so maybe 50 miles or so is my guess.
So you're taking the wagon, right?
Oh, heck yeah.
Well, you have to.
Yeah, you got to.
Yeah, of course.
With the tree strapped on top. I mean, you're all in, man.
Have you scouted the competition? Are there other Clark Griswold impersonators like in the region doing this?
Oh yeah, there's a few of them, but a lot of them use the wrong car.
I see. There's your competitive advantage. That's great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now,
what about any Randy Quaid? His character and cleaning out the what?
Yeah.
Are you going to do that next year?
I'd like to. The problem is that of course you've seen Cousin Eddie's RV. It's kind of a clunker. Not a huge fan of having that sitting outside of my house.
Yeah, that may be a red line for your neighbors too. So
a red line for a lot of people.
Yeah, right, for your wife perhaps. Yeah. So like when you got, maybe the kids are too young to do this, but when you do like the pro forma cross-country vacation. Is that going to be modeled after the original Vacation, too?
Oh, yes. We love taking trips.
Okay. All right.
And you named your children after Audrey and Russell from Griswold's children.
Yes, though I have to always say that Audrey technically wasn't named after Audrey, the character. My wife chose that name after Audrey Hepburn. But I got to choose Russ, and that was my thing.
Sure. Your wife chooses a daughter's name after Audrey Hepburn, and you choose Russ from... Yeah, okay. Yeah, there we go. We'll see who's got the more refined taste in the family, I think.
Russell's a great name. I love that name.
So when you do the Vacation rendition, when you do Vacation, now who is going to be like the Christy Brinkley in the Ferrari that drives up? Do you have that planned out too?
Not yet. Probably should look into that though, huh?
Yeah. You might not want to share that with your wife either.
Oh no,
no. Yeah, you might want to run
that's
that
on a down low. Yeah.
Okay, so now if people want to come by and witness the spectacle and take a picture with you and the McHenry Griswolds, I mean, is that something you encourage? I mean, I would think you have to because they could probably see it from miles away.
Oh yeah, I have my address out there. People are more than welcome to come out. I've had people ask me to do their Christmas cards with my picture of my house on the car, and I'm like, that's all I want. I love being that kind of person that can give that to the people.
Okay, all right. That's fun. It's a fun-filled Christmas up in McHenry County as long as Ted Ray's around. Ted Ray, he lives up there. For the last 4 years, he's decorated his house and car as an homage to Clark Griswold and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation that we've been discussing. You'll see him and his Taurus with the tree on top in Kenosha. When is that? When's Griswold Fest?
Next Saturday.
All right. Yeah, sure. Right on the cusp of the big day. Okay. Ted Ray, thanks so much for joining us. Go up and see Ted and the family.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, Ted, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Santa's coming to town. Oh, my God.
On AM 560.
Santa here? I know him.
The Answer.
Life takes a toll on our bodies. No way around it. Whether it's sitting hours on end at your computer or working a physical job, over time, your body pays the price. There is, however, an effective way to turn back the clock on pain. Relief Factor. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor helps support your body's response to inflammation. The difference, instead of masking pain, Relief Factor helps eliminate it for good. And it's 100% drug-free. If the pains that come with living a full life are affecting you, do as so many others have. Turn back the clock on pain with Relief Factor. Their 3-week quick start is just $19.95, less than $1 a day. When you feel good, it's amazing how much more you get out of life. So visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Try it for only $19.95. While we can't stop aging, not yet, we can stop pain. Turn back the clock with Relief Factor.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
Balance in nature makes a difference in my well-being and how I feel and everything. It's true. It makes a difference. If you take balance in nature, you have a happy day because you just feel a little better. It's like a restaurant in New Orleans. Her famous saying was, when you come to our restaurant, you leave a little happier than when you got here. And that's what balance in nature does. It lets your day be a little happier than it would be without the balance in nature.
Merry Christmas! This season, be part of the cheer and save big with our exclusive Christmas deal. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first preferred set. Don't miss out. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive Christmas offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about an opportunity for you to promote your business and to make a difference this Christmas season.
We're talking about our Food for the Poor Business Benefactor Program. We've partnered with Food for the Poor to provide life-saving food and water for thousands of children and their families in Latin America and the Caribbean during this season of economic decline, political corruption, and instability, and high food costs. We talk about the immigration crisis on the show all the time, and we know that when conditions deteriorate in Latin America, it drives people to try to cross our southern border. For many families, the cost of food has simply become prohibitive, leading to sickness and starvation. Families simply go without food for days at a time because they can't afford to eat.
Food for the Poor works with local partners at feeding sites to make sure these children and their families get the food they need to survive. And your business can be part of the solution. Become a Food for the Poor business benefactor by making a $2,500 tax-deductible donation to Food for the Poor. That donation will help feed more than 50 children for an entire year. And AM 560 will give you 40 one-minute commercials to air right here on AM 560 The Answer between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Friday at no additional cost to you.
That's simply the best advertising deal in all of Chicago. You'll be joining a long list of generous businesses that are reaching AM 560's audience of affluent, like-minded decision makers. Lock in your 2025 marketing now at this incredible price.
To take advantage of this limited opportunity to become an AM 560 business benefactor, just call Anjanette Natowski at 847-472-8951. Again, that's 847-472-8951. One more time, 847-472-8951, or go to 560theanswer.com and click on the Give Life banner. And thanks in advance for your generosity.
AM 560, The Answer.
Open mic! Open mic Friday! Call in now! Open mic Friday!
Yes, it's that time of the week, Open Mic Friday. We take your calls, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line with your comments, concerns, compliments, criticisms, general crack pottery. Take it all, but first we begin, as we do, with David Kolsak, founder of turnkey.pro. David?
Good morning, Dan and Amy. How are you guys today?
Great.
So it looks like LeBron James has taken a leave of absence from the Lakers. It's an excused absence to take some personal time off. It looks like the heat is being turned up on these Diddy partiers. Let's see where it all goes. But some of the allegations are downright evil, and the attendees of these parties are going to have a hard time walking down the street without feeling the heat, so to speak. Anyway, so there's that something to distract you. Another thing to distract you is all these UAPs or UFOs or whatever you call them. I with this morning with Brett Baer. I remember being a kid and being fascinated by UFOs, the Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot. And every time you saw a picture of any of those things, the photos were like grainy, low quality, and you had to use your imagination. But nowadays, you can do a search on X for UAPs, and you'll find all kinds of fantastic photos and videos of normal people that they're taking them and they're posting them. And some of it's really interesting. A few of those videos show these things going into the water. Some of the footage captures orbs that move very slowly and then dart away quickly. Some of the people use really high-quality zoom lenses where you can see them more clearly, and it looks like there's some sort of a barrier or force field around them. I mean, it's like Star Wars coming to life, and you've got all these government officials saying they don't know what they are. Some congressman the other day, and I know you made reference to this, Dan, made claim that there's an Iranian mothership parked off the East Coast where it's refueling all of these SUV-sized drones. Iran, really? So that would fit the narrative in the Middle East. And the official line from the government is they know nothing. They don't know where they're from. They don't know who's operating them or how they're doing it, except that there's no credible threat. We've got nothing to worry about. Nothing to see here. It's hard to believe that anything the government tells us is true. I mean, how do they know for a fact that there's no threat? These things are being seen nightly by tens of thousands of people, and there are so many that it's almost laughable. I'm not sure why we're not shooting them down, but the idea that the government has no idea what's going on is not believable. And the fact that no one in Trump's sphere is talking about it, not even Elon Musk, Mr. SpaceX, is also interesting. Who knows what's really going on, but UFOs and UAPs are always fascinating to normal people. But what I really think is important to look at, despite all these distractions, is what's going on in Syria. The timing of Assad leaving Syria and there being regime change right now screams of U.S. government involvement. Now that Tulsi Gabbard has been nominated for the DNI position, it looks like now's the time to go for it, because Trump and some of his nominees like Tulsi are signaling that they're not going to continue the policies of Obama and the deep state. Got to get this done before Trump gets in office. All air defenses are destroyed in Syria. The Syrian Air Force is destroyed. Long-range missiles are destroyed. Radar stations are destroyed. Now Israel has a clear path to fly directly to Iran and take out the nuclear sites and oil fields. So you have all this conflict in the Middle East, and it's pretty aggressive. You had the response in Gaza. and then in Lebanon, and now in Syria. Next stop, Iran. Remember that the goal over there is a greater Israel where they expand from the Euphrates River to the Nile. This greater Israel would encompass parts of Turkey, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and Egypt, and the whole of Israel, Jordan, and Lebanon. And they believe it, and so do a ton of evangelical Christians. Some Christians take the words from Genesis 15:18, where it says, "In the same day the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, unto thy seed have I given this land from river of Egypt to the great river, the river Euphrates." So they would go from being the size of New Jersey to the size of Texas. And so while we're all looking at diddy parties, UFOs, and drones, there's something bigger going on in the Middle East, and it's percolating, and the U.S. has direct involvement, or at very minimum, they're letting it happen and essentially encouraging it. So it looks like the Hamas invasion gave the Israelis the will to not only conquer Gaza, but also the entire region. And I doubt that their neighbors are just going to lie down and give in. So the way I see it, you have to be wary of any war, and especially one that has such biblical roots. If they're trying to start World War III, they're off to a really good start. So I wouldn't be surprised, though, if there weren't a war in space next. I mean, these days, anything's possible. So keep your eyes peeled and don't be too distracted.
Okay. Thank you. Wait, the Bigfoot to expansionist Israel, war in the Middle East to war in space. That's a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah.
Okay. I did want to mention just something, a couple of things, I guess, geopolitically, since it was the prospect was kind of raised. Al-Jilani, this former head of al-Nusra, Al-Qaeda, Syria, who is the warlord in charge at this point, he made a call for 6 million Syrians who left over the last decade plus and have come, including have come here. You remember the Syrian quote-unquote Syrian refugee crisis during the Obama years, and they were invited here, and then Jim Comey, the FBI director, actually, shockingly, provided some mild pushback saying, we really don't have the capacity to vet these people, the record keeping, and so on and so forth. Well, that didn't matter to the Obama administration any more than it matters to the third term of the Joe Obama administration. Anyway, Giuliani is calling for a return.
Right. We must give it its right by restoring people's dignity and pride, and by building it properly. The opportunities are available to us, and the people who have immigrated, who have sought asylum, who have been displaced, they must return. All these people must return so that hand in hand we can build the next Syria, God willing.
Mm-hmm. Well, it'll be interesting to see who takes him up on the offer and how much encouragement the Trump administration provides to take him up on the offer. If there's no fear of political or religious persecution, then I would think your temporary protected status would largely be up. I mean, I'm happy to look at things or encourage the government to look at things on a case-by-case basis, but isn't that the point? And I say this just because this is another aspect of the issue of on the issue of border security that we've discussed a bit, but it bears revisiting, and I'm sure Tom Homan will. A story that was just out today, the number of immigrants with temporary protected status jumped 240% since 2021 under the Biden administration. So this is the corruption of that TPS system that we've talked about, and this is something that's going to have to be addressed as well. Tom Homan also reiterated one of his priorities in terms of the humanity of the entire program, the search for and return of all the children that have gone missing on Biden's watch. He wants every American involved.
Also, as President Trump is committed, we're going to deputize every U.S. citizen in this country to help us find 340,000 missing children, because we need the public's help on this. Every mom and dad knows what it's like. They have a gut feeling when they see something out there in the public that there's something ain't right with that child. So we're going to deputize every one of them to help us find these children.
All of those men and women on the left that are so concerned about family separation, off and on,
it's
they're concerned
convenient
about
for
it.
them, Dan.
Just take note. Take note, because you'll want to participate. I'm certain you'll want to support the Trump administration's initiatives in this direction. I'm certain.
And yesterday there was a big meeting in New York City between border czar Tom Homan and Eric Adams. And they're on the same page when it comes to deporting illegal immigrants who have been accused of crimes.
We're going to protect the rights of immigrants in the city that are hardworking, giving back to the city in a real way. We're not going to be a safe haven for those who commit repeated violent crimes against innocent migrants, immigrants, and longstanding New Yorkers. That was my conversation today with the border czar to figure out how do we go after those individuals who are repeatedly committing crimes in our city. We're going to tell those who are here, who are law-abiding, to continue to utilize the services that are open to the city, the services that they have a right to utilize, educating their children, health care, public protection, and the things that we have long been proudful in doing so.
Okay.
But we will not be a safe haven.
Yeah, so that's sort of, I mean, you take the agreement where you can get it and focus on those priorities in order, but that's not walking away from sanctuary city designation. You know, Eric Adams is trying. He's going to get himself in trouble if he tries to be too clever by half.
I know.
He's been moving on this issue, but what he said yesterday is just sort of the same position that Kathy Hochul has taken and other otherwise open borders politicians have taken. Oh, of course. I mean, nobody's going to be in the position of open and publicly defending keeping repeat violent offenders in this country who are here illegally. Even Jelly Belly doesn't want to do that.
I'm open to a dialogue with him. I will say that he does not have the authority to do the things that he's talked about. Being a border czar is not an official position in the government, and will be up to the President of the United States and up to the leaders of the Customs and Border Patrol to make decisions about how we'll manage the border.
Right. I mean, even he's saying that. So that's just not, that's weak tea. It's weak tea from Jelly Belly. It's weak tea from Eric Adams. But if Eric Adams wants to constructively engage for the first wave of the program, then, you take allies where you can get them. With respect to Jelly Belly, I mean, for goodness sakes, this guy has a law degree. Yeah, we know Tom Homan can't do unilaterally the things that he wants to do. Tom Homan knows that too. Tom Homan knows the law infinitely better than does Jelly Belly, particularly when it comes to immigration. And you'll take judicial notice there, Jelly Belly, you dope, of Bondi and Nome at Department of Homeland Security, Stephen Miller, advisor on this issue to the president. Obviously, the president is the chief executive. This is a team effort. I don't know why this is, well, I do know why. They're sort of purposely being naive. But remember, this is a team. It's something that Bill Ackman said, which I thought was very accurate in the run-up to the election. I'm looking at the Trump team versus the Kamala team, which is the Biden team, which is the Obama team. And I think the Trump team is comprised of more serious people. Now, all of these names weren't filled in at that point, but you got a sense of who some of the important people would be. And when it comes to border security, there's nobody more important than Tom Homan. So when you're talking to Tom Homan, you're talking to the President of the United States. You're talking to this entire team that's focused on these priorities that Homan has outlined with respect to illegal immigration. By the way, which we know even the New York Times now is coming out and admitting the numbers. 60% of the record immigration in this country during the Biden administration, record, like in our country's history, 60% illegal. So it was an invitation from the beginning, an open borders policy from the beginning that persists to the end with political ends in mind. That's what it was, and that's what it is, right up until January 20th. You can be sure. All right.
312-642-5600. If you can't get through, keep calling. Once we drop callers, we have slots open.
Ralph and Wilmette.
Hey guys, happy Friday the 13th. Let's go get them. You've got two news stories you keep reporting that are missing the music. For the drone story, you should have Donald Fagen's song "Tomorrow's Girls." It has they're landing on the Jersey beaches. The engines make the white sand swirl. And for your gender correction surgery stories, you should be playing George Thorogood's tune "Bad to the Bone." Take care, guys.
Okay, thanks for that, Ralph.
Real quick, Mayor Johnson is calling off his budget vote today, Dan, which included 11 tax and fee hikes totaling $233.9 million. Couldn't get the alderman on his side that he needed.
Eduardo, Tampa Bay.
Well, you could have just hit the fire alarm for a suspension on that boat. But the Time magazine, if I was in Chicago, anybody over there in Chicago, make sure you get the Time magazine, because I heard Jesse Smollett is in town for some movie or something. They had like a after party over there. Get him to sign that Time magazine cover. I think that'd be a great thing to do in front
The Time magazine cover of Trump being Man of the Year, that Time magazine cover?
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, he is in MAGA country, so
Thanks for the call, Eduardo.
I hope he's safe, and I hope he has learned his lesson, Dan, and that he does not go out at 2 a.m. when it's minus 29 with a wind chill to buy a tuna sandwich from Subway.
Right, the official story.
Yeah.
The Prime Minister.
Uh-oh.
Thanks for taking me call, you perspicacious Dan Prof. Dan, your radio audience has contacted me, all three of them, and they want me to ask you to please take a pill from the freezer, a chill pill, as I shift the spotlight away from you for just a second.
Mm-hmm.
Dan, we like no other show in any media, we all come back because you activate the listener's brain. But you got to know that Amy activates other organs. Amy, you're a hot, steaming cup of disinformation on two long Scandinavian legs. You know, Amy, I think you're great, but as a baby, I was dropped on me head. Now, I heard that when you were younger, you dressed in that revealing way, and as I say, you had a body that made men drive up on the sidewalk.
Okay.
But that is a hazard. So you moved out in the country where there are no sidewalks. But there you found you were not on city septic, and since you're not a well woman, you moved back to the city. But your husband says to this very day, your body can still stop traffic. He's just got to push you out in front of it.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Boy, that was
anything
nuts.
about Dan's physique you'd like to talk about?
The Prime Minister has been say he's not well. He had a Mitch McConnell moment. He had to be ushered away.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. Glenn in Orlando.
Boy, I don't know how to follow that act.
Don't try.
Just pretend it never happened.
Yeah, okay. So our fabulous government can print money to eliminate poverty. Can they print money, or can they print diplomas to eliminate stupidity?
There you go. Thanks for the call, Glenn. Lewis, Southside.
Yes. Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. I think I just saw two movies this week. All the President's Men with the Inspector General as Deep Throat, and A Few Good Men with Daniel Penny. What do you think?
Oh, I see what you did. Yeah.
Wait, Daniel Penny as who? What? He's Caffey or he's Cruz? Well, who's Daniel Penny?
No, Daniel Penny. I called in this week and I said it wasn't a black and white issue. It was an issue about chivalry. Okay, the reason why I said that is because in chivalry, you protect them. It's about protection from protecting women.
Yeah, I understand what chivalry is, but what you're saying Daniel Penny did the Code Red. If you're comparing it to Few Good Men, aren't you?
Yeah. See, Daniel Penny, he at the end, do you remember the end of the story of A Few Good Men?
Yeah, but the end of the story was well, I mean, spoiler alert if you haven't seen A Few Good Men. The end of the story was admitting that what they did was wrong. We're supposed to protect.
Right. They were supposed to protect because that's the motto of the Marine Corps.
Right.
Is Semper Fidelis, always faithful, to protect women, children, those who cannot defend themselves.
I get it. I just don't see the Daniel Penny analog because he was innocent. He didn't do what they did. So this is an alternative ending for A Few Good Men, or an alternative beginning, frankly.
Right. So what I'm saying is that it was about chivalry. It's about chivalry, about what they do.
Yeah. Okay.
And that also they also have the guardian angels out there. Where were they?
Thanks for the call, Lewis. Bill, Southside.
Hello.
Hey, Bill.
Hi. I just want to bring up Jimmy Lee, who's a patriot from Hong Kong, who's under trial. I think he's still under trial.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the campaign the Wall Street Journal put on for their journalist who was imprisoned in Russia. And every day or every week they'd have a full-page ad on him. What about remembering Jimmy Lee on your show or other means of instruments? Just to remember him once a week and mention him and mention his faith. He's a convert to Catholicism. Bill McGurn did a wonderful tribute to him about a year ago on the Wall Street Journal. And I think we're just forgetting him. He's in prison, sitting there.
I don't think we forget about him. Thanks for the call, Bill. I mean, you're right. He is sitting there. He's like this. He's China's Solzhenitsyn. I agree with that. We should remember him. Wall Street Journal has actually done a really good job. They've routinely updated his plight. There have been many editorials from McGurn, as well as the editorial board. Wall Street Journal has probably covered him more and his saga more than any other outlet. And we're certainly paying attention because he is a seminal figure of this time in history with respect to that godless communist party that controls China, like Solzhenitsyn was to the Soviets. So no, we're on it. I hear you, but I appreciate the reminder. Larry in Elmhurst.
Hey, good morning. Hey, I grilled probably 4 out of 7 days, and if I see any of those drones flying over my backyard or whatever, I will be taking pot shots at them.
Mm-hmm.
I fought with a Full Metal Jacket, but here's the one thing for the liberals. If you deport the whole family, they stay together.
Okay. Thanks for the call, Larry. That's what Tom Homan sort of said. Just on the issue of pardons, we should talk about we should mention the pardons a little bit. We haven't really gotten into that. This massive number of pardons and commutations that Biden did yesterday. And prime among them, for the purposes of Illinois, Rita Crunwell, the woman who stole $50 million from the taxpayers of Dixon, Illinois.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
She was one of those who was allowed to leave prison and go on home confinement during COVID, and as many of those whose sentences Biden commuted yesterday were. But, I mean, she ends up serving maybe just about a half of her 20-year prison sentence for stealing $50 million. Mm-hmm. That's one of the greatest, if not the greatest, municipal embezzlement scheme in American history. And what that did to Dixon?
Yeah, well, it's nonviolent crime. According to, there's no victims, right? No, there are victims. It's the taxpayers in Dixon.
Well, yeah. I don't know. And by the way, in terms of the preemptive pardon, we did talk a little bit with Brett Baer about that. That where a lot of Democrats don't want it to happen, but the big guy is not so worried about such precedent setting. Bill Clinton was on with those man-hating shrews, ill-informed, ill-mannered, man-hating shrews on The View, flacking for Hillary and telling tall tales, as Slick Willie is wont to do.
Well, they got a problem with her because first, she didn't do anything wrong.
Of course.
Second,
Oh, no,
she
she didn't do
followed the
anything.
rules exactly as they were written. Third, Trump's State Department found, they remember how the emails were such a big issue in 2016? Trump's State Department found that Hillary sent and received exactly 0 classified emails on her personal device. It was a made-up, phony story.
Yeah.
So, you know, I guess if Cash Patel is determined to make one up, he could do it. But I think if President Biden wanted to talk to me about that, I would talk to him about it. But I don't think I should be giving public advice on the pardon power. I think it's a very personal thing. But it is, I hope he won't do that.
Yeah.
Trump, you know, most of us get out of this world ahead of where we'd get if all we got was simple justice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's normally a fool's errand to spend a lot of time trying to get even.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Anything you
Just
say, sir,
nodding
yes.
their heads, the trained seals around the table. So when he says, I hope he won't do that, he's talking about Trump or the Trump administration going after. He's not talking about Biden not preemptively pardoning Hillary. What he said about Hillary in the emails is not true. First of all, the private server was illicit. Then there was 33,000 emails that were turned over from her private server, but that wasn't the sum total of them. Remember the cloth? Like
Right,
wiped
we're just
it
gonna
with, like,
scrub
with
it
a
clean.
cloth.
Yeah.
So the other, the Trump State Department investigation did not produce nothing. It produced a clean bill of health. She abided the letter of the law. She did just as the law was written. That's what you heard Slick Willie say. No. State Department investigation found that 38 current or former employees were responsible for 91 separate violations of security protocols involving Clinton server. 38 current and former employees, 91 separate violations of security protocols. Clean bill of health. The 38 people, of course, not identified. None of the emails at issue were marked as classified according to the investigation, but that's only the emails they had, which wasn't the sum total. In addition, the State Department found another 497 violations for which no individual was found responsible. Right. So you have all these people, all these infractions that were committed, but nobody committed them, which is the whole problem with the last decade. And Bondi and Kash Patel, as you said earlier in the week, they don't need Trump to be focused on accountability. What the left is crying, vengeance. You hear, oh, you don't, Confucius Clinton there doing the whole, he who throws mud doesn't loses ground. Give me a break. Give me a break with your throw pillow aphorisms. You got away with all sorts of skullduggerous, illegal conduct.
Well,
it was documented. The violations were documented, and because of this uniparty, particularly in the intel community, within the federal government, nobody gets held accountable. Well, that's what has to change. That has to be part of the paradigm shift in the Trump era. And I don't think he needs to spend a lot of time talking about it. I think he just needs to put people in place who know what to do, and they get about doing it.
And do it this time. And don't forget Clinton's, secret meeting with Loretta Lynch on the tarmac in Arizona. What were they discussing?
Byron, western suburbs.
Yeah, hey. Hi, thanks for taking my call. And I had two comments, one about Rita Cromwell and another one after that. Rita Cromwell, the 18 years she spent stealing the money and stuff, the accounting company, I don't want to say their name, but the accounting company was sued for $40 million.
Yeah, right.
They failed to do their fiduciary duty.
Yeah,
and then the rest
auditing.
of it was from and then the rest of it was from the auction of all of her expensive stuff.
Horse trailers and whatnot.
She had
Yeah.
expensive taste.
She did. But the second thing is Adam Smith's quote. It says, when you have mercy for the convicted, you have cruelty for the innocent. And I just thought that was kind of interesting. All right, have a great weekend.
Thanks for the call, Byron. Don't tell that to Ayanna Pressley, Frances Parker Spice of the Socialist Spice Girls. She was out this week calling for commutations for those death row inmates, all 40 of them.
Today, on Human Rights Day, we call on President Biden to do the right thing, to use his clemency authority to commute the death sentences of the 40 individuals on death row, to re-sentence them to a prison term, and to save lives. State-sanctioned murder is not justice. And the death penalty is a cruel, racist, and fundamentally flawed punishment that has no place in our society. It is deeply discriminatory and has disproportionately been weaponized against black, brown, and low-income families for far too long. It is long past time for President Biden to make good on his campaign promise to address the federal death penalty. With 40 days left in his presidency, we must move with urgency and ensure that history never repeats itself.
Open the jail cells just like you open the borders. I'm just waiting. I'm surprised it hasn't happened already. I'm waiting for Biden to pardon, per his popularity among the left, pardon the guy who is allegedly the assassin who killed that United Healthcare CEO. Pardon him on the way out too, right? How about pardon everybody in this country illegally?
Oh boy, don't give him any ideas.
Right?
Yeah. Nothing would surprise me.
Or consistent with this new position of these Democrat hack Pauls like our own Jelly Belly, who has not committed an additional violent felony for which he has been convicted. And everybody else gets a pardon. Why not? Then you get to stay. Isn't that the point? Shelley in Rockford, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
A couple comments, but the first is math. Let's assume that they spend 5 minutes looking at each commutation, and I know that the president doesn't, but 5 whole minutes to consider whether he should commute or pardon or do nothing. 1,500 of them, 7,500 minutes, 125 hours. He's conscious maybe 6 hours a day. That's 20 full days of work he would have done on this. Exactly when?
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Shelley. I mean, obviously you've got these working groups that pour through the number of people or the people who've either filled out or had paperwork filled out for them for consideration of a pardon or a commutation, and I'm sure he's got a group that vets that. But your point is well taken about how much time he spends on this, especially when you do something with no other president has done, at least in my memory, to just, with the stroke of a pen, 1,500 people.
It's a lot. Didn't Obama have 330?
It's more than the last 3 presidents combined.
Combined, yep.
Well, more. Maybe you'd have to go back to W. Maybe the last 4. Ron in Countryside.
Hello. I just wanted to say, if he's not mentally competent to run for president again, how is he mentally competent to give out pardons?
Thanks, Ron. He's probing. He's exacting. He's at the top of his game. That's what Morning Joe told us. Ali Mayorkas, Kamala.
All of them.
What are you talking about?
KJP, and he's not going anywhere. He's in this race. Yep, till the end.
Not going anywhere.
Mm-mm.
Never felt better, never been better.
You darn right. Sing it, brother.
Rich in Indian Head Park.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. Happy Friday to you. What I wanted to talk about is these drones. Isn't it true that you have to register the drones with the FAA if they're over a certain weight? And that they do have the capacity to check and see who that drone is scheduled to?
Yeah, it's registered
and,
too.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is the government keeps lying to us, saying that there's no threat. Well, how do we know that there's no threat if the drone was not registered or it's from another country? What are they going to wait till something drastic happens to somewhere in the country before they take any action against them?
Thanks for the call, Rich. Yeah, it's Chinese spy balloon 2.0. Right. In terms of drones, I think there's like a recreational drone exception, but there's a certain threshold after which you have to register with the FAA. But the point that Brett Baer made when we spoke to him about this is this idea that this is unknowable. There's nothing we can do about it. With the greatest and most advanced military, with the resources that we have, you can't snatch one of these things out of the sky and figure this out.
And they're
it's
6
absurd.
feet long. It's huge. One guy said it's like an SUV over his house every night.
Doug in Oswego.
Oh, hey, what do you do with an elephant with 3 balls on him?
Oh, boy. Dan, can you answer that, please?
Walk them and pitch for the rhino. What?
Walk them and pitch to the giraffe. There you go.
All right, thanks for the call. Dad humor going into the weekend. I did want to play this Fare Thee Well from Cori Bush.
Oh.
Cori Bush, security detail Spice from St. Louis.
Yeah.
She got the whole band together. All the Socialist Spice Girls were in the front row, including, I think, Sean Caston, issuing her farewell. Fare thee well, Cori Bush. We hardly knew ye.
Thank you for bringing all of yourself to Congress. Thank you for how you help communities from Detroit to Minneapolis to Pittsburgh to Boston to the Bronx to Chicago to Puerto Rico, Central America to Somalia to Haiti to Palestine and everywhere in between.
What is she?
And I ask that you hold up our sister Rashida over these next 2 years in our absence.
Very emotional farewell.
She can go back to being a healer. Remember, she got somebody's tumor. She prayed on it, and it disappeared.
Faith healer. That's right.
That's right, faith healer. Yep.
Chuck and Delavan, close it out.
Hey, thanks, Dan, for mentioning my garage band's name, a recreational drone exception. Hey, come on up, everybody, and see the crew building the glass Christmas tree by Gerke's Observatory. And then
Chuck.
everybody get over to the bar store in Lake Delavan on the south side. 1 to 4, Santa Claus is going to be there.
Thanks,
All right,
Chuck.
Thanks, Chuck. It's 9 a.m. WIND Chicago.
Death penalty in Texas. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
These types of horrific crimes committed by illegal immigrants crossing our border have to stop.
In this case, it's the murder of a 12-year-old girl in June. Harris County Prosecutor Kim Ogg tells Fox the 2 migrants who came here illegally from Venezuela should be executed if convicted of kidnapping, sexually assaulting, and killing Jocelyn Nungary.
Investigators say she snuck out of her home. That is when they say she came across Johan Martinez Rangel and Franklin Pena Ramos. Surveillance footage shows them outside of a 7-Eleven before investigators say they lured her under a bridge for 2 hours. She was found tied up and partially undressed.
Fox's Brooke Taylor in Dallas. President-elect Trump has vowed mass deportations of illegal immigrants, first targeting those accused of violent crimes. And while many Democrats vow to resist, one will not.
Mayor Eric Adams says New York City won't be a safe haven for illegal migrants who commit repeated violent crimes. And he says incoming border czar Tom Homan is on the same page. So for more than an hour, the pair discussed immigration reform, border security, and deportations.
Fox's CB Cotton. All the drones flying over New Jersey remain a mystery. Republican Congresswoman Nicole Maliotakis just told Fox the federal government must
be honest with the people, because this is giving them anxiety. They're getting stressed over it. They're concerned, and rightfully so.
Maliotakis is from New York, where there have also been sightings, and people have reported drones from California to Florida to Connecticut. The FBI says most of them are actually manned aircraft, and Biden administration officials say the drones are not a safety risk.
And the government saying that there is no known threat doesn't mean that there is not a threat.
President Biden has a virtual call with other G7 world leaders this morning, with Ukraine a big topic after another Russian attack overnight. Hundreds of missiles and drones that Ukraine's president says terrorized millions of people, again hitting their already damaged energy infrastructure. America's listening to Fox News.
Morning, it's 16 degrees in Chicago.